A hooded figure cuts through the gloom of a grimy alleyway, minding his own business. Two thugs chilling on the steps track his movement. One hawks a loogie to disrespect him, but his aim is trash. It misses the target and splatters right on his buddy's shoe. The friend loses it, cursing up a storm, while our hooded guy keeps strutting forward, zero chill, not even glancing back. Welcome to the studio district, a chaotic, filthy mess that never sleeps. It's loud, it's dirty, and it's home. Tucked away in this concrete jungle is a tiny, 180-square-foot rooftop crash pad. Inside, the hooded man stares at his dinner with pure defeat. Ramen. Again. Meet Bong Joo-hyuk, 25 years old, technically unemployed, but grinding 3 gigs convenience store, BBQ joint, and construction just to survive. This hustler is our protagonist. But even working like a dog, his bank account is a wasteland. The reason? Simple. Massive, crushing debt. He's drowning in it, forcing him to scrape by however he can. He's got no special talents, no cheat codes. He's just a warm body for manual labor. No bright future, just an endless loop of misery. He's ruminating on his bottom-feeder NPC existence. When boom, a holographic interface materializes in midair. Awakened. He freezes, instant noodles dangling from his lips like a glitch. His eyes bulge, adrenaline spiking, cold sweat breaking out. The burning sensation of the broth finally hits his brain, and he drops the cup soup, exploding everywhere. He screams, totally losing his composure. He's confused. Awakening is supposed to be the golden ticket, a literal jackpot. It's the ultimate life changer, way better than hitting the lottery. But there's a massive catch. You can't spend the cash if you're dead. The tower is a slaughterhouse. Getting ripped to shreds by monsters is just Tuesday. You could freeze to death, get incinerated, or die foaming at the mouth from poison. Then there are the booby traps, ready to crush you into paste. This guy, he's risk-averse. He sees trouble and walks the other way. He avoids danger like the plague. He won't even walk near construction sites for fear of falling debris. He's accepted his role as a background character for 25 years, and now the universe tells him he's a player? Obviously, he thinks he's tripping, probably hallucinating from sheer exhaustion and hunger. He mentally commands the status window to open, and it actually pops up. Legit. Affiliation, Black Tower, Korea. Level 1. Class, Summoner. He's got 1 summon slot open. The skill tree? Targeted summon, random summon, and dismiss. Plus, the basic kit. Enter tower once a day and inventory access. Seeing the inventory grid, reality finally smacks him in the face. This is happening. Players get superpowers called traits. You've got your classics: swordsmanship, spearmanship, shield arts, archery, martial arts. Then the wild stuff, growing into a giant heavy smash, healing the works. Summoning is usually the cool stuff, controlling spirits, phantom beasts, golems, demons, you name it. It's the ability to command an army of creatures. Basically, Pokemon with higher stakes. Curiosity bites him. What kind of summoner is he? What's his starter monster? He decides to test it out with some anime flair. Our boy strikes a pose and yells, "Summon!" Crickets. Nothing happens. Feeling cringe, he tries random summon. Still, 0. Then he remembers, oh right, physics. It doesn't work out here. Player skills are locked to the tower. In the real world, they're just glitchy hallucinations that don't manifest. Aside from the UI window, a player on the street is just a regular civilian. No magic allowed. That's like Awakening 101. He feels like a total clown. He's convinced now that there is absolutely no way a skill activates on Earth. But then, the screen flashes. Initializing random summon. His jaw drops. The text is glowing. And then, a radiant dimensional door rips open in his room. Out steps a dude. The guy looks terrified, eyes popping, sweating buckets, mouth hanging open in pure panic. He has no clue what's happening. Also, yeah, the summon is a literal human being. The stranger stammers that he is, indeed, human and awkwardly salutes. Joo-hyuk's brain breaks. The summon worked. Not only did he break the laws of physics by using magic outside the tower, but he didn't get a cool dragon. He got a guy. Then, the summon sniffs the air. He locks onto the spilled ramen. Eyes lighting up, he begs for a single bite. Joo-hyuk, still in shock, just mumbles, "Sure." The red-haired stranger dives into the noodles. Joo-hyuk stands behind him, statuesque with disbelief. Realization hits. He didn't summon a legendary warrior. He summoned a shameless moocher who begs for instant food. The guy is inhaling the noodles like a vacuum, but he's sweating rivers apparently. He can't handle the heat. Joo-hyuk judges him hard, calling mild, udon spicy, weak. But moving past the culinary critique, he's still baffled. How did the skill activate in his apartment? And why a human? This is unheard of in the meta. He pulls up the status window again. The description has changed. Ability: summon humans and demi-humans. And it's a gacha system. Ranks go from R rare through SR and SSR, all the way up to LSSR Legend Special Super Rare. On top of that, the mental link was Flawless Summoner and Servant, connected with zero lag. Wait, there are rares? Ju-hyuk felt like he was rolling for characters in a gacha game. Suddenly, the system interface flashed red. The 3 mandates. The absolute laws of the summon. Rule 1. Protect the summoner's life at all costs. Rule 2. Obey every single command. And Rule 3. If orders clash with Rule 1, keeping the boss alive takes priority. Absolute obedience. Music to his ears. But who exactly was this SR unit he just pulled? A bio window popped up. Target identified. The Cruel Guild's legendary psychopath. Name: John Kosak. Rank: SR Super Rare. Class: Human Assassin. Active time: 6 hours. Cooldown: 3. And customer satisfaction? Not guaranteed. The lore was terrifying. This guy was the guild's biggest headache. A total, unhinged lunatic. But the stats were god tier. 99% kill rate. He even deleted a 5th circle dark mage. Information flooded Ju-hyuk's brain like a download from hell, splitting his skull. Then, the vision took over. He was free-falling through the void, ground rushing up fast. An assassin lunged at him. Ju-hyuk flinched, but the blade phased right through him like a hologram. He realized he wasn't there. He was watching a replay. This was John's memory. John was butchering guards with zero effort. But here's the creepy part. He was gift-wrapping their heads. Red ribbons on severed heads. Okay, the insane label makes perfect sense now. But every streak ends. He infiltrated a room, not knowing his target was the Empire's #1 swordmaster. Before John could even blink, he was sliced in half. Instant death. That was his final moment. Snap back to reality, John whispered in Ju-hyuk's ear. What are you thinking? Ju-hyuk jumped out of his skin, tripping backward and crashing to the floor in a panic. John didn't mean to attack. He just wanted orders. But Ju-hyuk was trembling. He had to get a grip. The system said absolute obedience. He took a deep breath to steady his voice. Clear that ramen bowl, and wipe down the table while you're at it. John moved like a blur. Done. Not a single complaint. Ju-hyuk had to test the limits. Are crazy requests okay? John's reply was robotic. I obey unconditionally. Time for a vibe check. Bark. He wanted to see if this legendary killer would degrade himself. John froze. Ju-hyuk's heart stopped. Did he cross the line with a super assassin? This guy was a powerhouse. His pride must be bark. John let out a happy, eager woof. Ju-hyuk stood there, jaw on the floor. He gave a thumbs up. Absolute obedience confirmed. Bang, bang, open up. The mood shattered. The loan sharks were here for their money. Ju-hyuk signaled John to stand. The debt was 10 million won, and today was the deadline. No bank would touch him. He went to the sharks because his dad broke his hip and his brother needed tuition, surgery, and school fees. He had zero options. He signed the contract out of desperation. He thought he could handle it, but the interest was a trap. 5 million paid, and the principal was still untouched. A stupid move? Maybe. But for his family, he'd make the same choice 1,000 times. The thugs demanded to see him. Ju-hyuk glanced nervously at his summon. John already had a dagger out, eyes locked on the door, ready to execute everyone on command. No, stop. Ju-hyuk didn't need a massacre. Hide in the bathroom. Don't move a muscle. Can I breathe, master? John asked seriously. Yes, just breathe quietly. Ju-hyuk cracked the door, and a hand immediately choked him. The thug grinned. You look healthy. We were worried, kid. When the money didn't show up, we thought you might be indisposed. Ju-hyuk couldn't move. I'm sorry, I forgot. I just sent the transfer right now. The man patted his cheek, voice dripping with menace. Don't force yourself if it's too hard. You can always sell a kidney, right? Life's a lot easier when you're lighter by one organ. One of the goons sneered, mentioning the kid had a little brother. The boss smirked, agreeing that fresh blood is always marketable. Youth comes with a premium price tag on the black market. Ju-hyuk's expression went ice cold instantly. Catching that murderous glint, the thug taunted him, asking if he was actually planning to throw hands. Ju-hyuk snapped out of it, forcing a pathetic, shaky smile and denying everything. The boss leaned in close, voice dripping with venom, warning him to watch his back unless he wanted to vanish off the face of the earth. The door banged shut, rattling the frame, and Ju-hyuk finally exhaled. John stepped out of the bathroom like a ghost. Ju-hyuk was honestly shook. The guy had been completely silent. John simply stated he was following orders. Adrenaline fading, Ju-hyuk felt the crash hit him hard. The daily grind of double shifts was killing him. An awakening, summoning a human, and loan sharks knocking. What a day. The crushing debt almost made the tower look like a viable option. But let's be real, the payout is huge. But a chicken like him wouldn't last 5 seconds inside without dying. John broke the silence, asking for his next directive. Did he have unfinished business? Did he want to go back? Ju-hyuk offered to send him back, But John had a different request. He wanted to watch TV. How did an otherworldly assassin know about cable and ramen? Doesn't matter. Joo-hyuk gave the green light, and John settled in to binge-watch some drama series, while Joo-hyuk crashed for the night. Drifting off, Joo-hyuk realized having a summon around wasn't actually creepy. It was surprisingly comforting. Being worked to the bone does that to you. Darkness took over until his alarm started screaming at 8 in the morning. He rolled out of bed, John was gone. Figured the summon timer ran out or something. He vaguely remembered seeing a system notification pop up while he was sleeping. Whatever, time to get ready for the grind. Toothbrush in mouth, he glanced at the TV, blaring in the background. Breaking news, coming out of Jongno-gu, Seoul. Every single office of the Smile Cash loan sharks had been hit. A total massacre. Joo-hyuk froze mid-brush. 3 victims decapitated. The toothbrush fell from his mouth and clattered into the sink. And it got worse. The severed heads were found wrapped in red ribbons. John. The realization hit him like a truck, draining the color from his face. He hadn't just summoned a helper. He'd summoned a stone-cold psycho. The Smile Cash slaughter was instantly the #1 trending topic. Bodies swimming in crimson, fingers snapped like twigs, and those heads displayed like twisted birthday presents. Joo-hyuk started hyperventilating. He was so screwed. He stared at the screen, heart pounding out of his chest. It had John's signature all over it. Later at work, the hallucination hit. He looked down and saw the loan shark's severed head, ribbon and all, sitting right there on the checkout counter waiting to be scanned. He recoiled, vision blurring as he imagined a headless torso standing there, clutching its own head. Other severed heads lined the store shelves like merchandise. He stumbled back, terrified, and crashed into the display behind him. Blinked. Just a hallucination. The customer was staring at him, asking if he was good. He mumbled an apology and rushed to ring her up. Shift over, he realized he was a total mental wreck. Time to call in sick for everything tomorrow. He sighed heavily. The guilt eating him alive, was he responsible for those deaths? Back home, he pulled up John's profile. There it was. Cruel Guild's crazy assassin. Rank, super rare. Class, human assassin. Active duration, 6 hours. No rating yet. Resummon cooldown, 3 hours. Joo-hyuk knew the guy couldn't hurt his summoner, but it was still totally freaky. He tried to summon him again, but a system pop-up blocked him. Required action. Leave a user review. For John. He stared at the screen. He told the guy to chill and watch TV, and instead, John went on a murder spree. Unauthorized extracurricular activities. He wanted to slap a 1-star rating on him for going rogue. He was pissed. He literally flipped the screen off. That's what he wanted to do. But he couldn't be that savage. He settled on 3 stars. His mom worked in customer service dealing with rentals, so he knew the struggle. A bad review hits different when it's your livelihood. Rating submitted. John spawned into the room. John was beaming, thanking him profusely for the 3 stars. He swore he'd grind even harder next time. Looking at that innocent angel face, it was hard to believe he was a butcher. Joo-hyuk decided to cut the crap. Did you kill the guys who broke in? John puffed his chest out. Handled them for you last night, boss. Joo-hyuk choked on air. Confirmation. The guy standing 2 feet away was a literal serial killer. Nausea hit him, pulse spiking. He had to breathe. John was system-bound. He couldn't hurt his master. But how? He didn't even know where their base was. John smirked, explaining he'd tagged them with a mark of pursuit the moment those dirtbags kicked the door in. A tracking skill? Maybe. But Joo-hyuk had to know why the overkill? John didn't flinch, reasoning that those guys were threats, so he simply took out the trash before it could smell. Joo-hyuk wasn't buying it, screaming that he never gave the kill order. That's when John played his trump card. The summon's 3 laws. Specifically Article 3. It's simple math. If Law 1 and Law 2 clash, Law 1 takes the crown. Total, absolute obedience. But there's a loophole. If the summoner is in immediate danger, the rules go out the window. Joo-hyuk shot back, asking if that meant John would disobey a direct order to stop if Joo-hyuk ordered his own death. John didn't even blink. Exactly. He claimed there wasn't a visible threat, so he made an executive decision on the fly. He admitted Article 3 is flexible. In John's eyes, those thugs were walking time bombs. Eventually, they would threaten the summoner's life, so eliminating them now was just logical efficiency. Joo-hyuk called him out, muttering that it sounded straight-up psychotic. Joo-hyuk froze, realizing he just insulted a living weapon, and quickly apologized. John shrugged it off. He's used to being called a monster. It's not that Joo-hyuk is slow, it's that the situation is terrifying. Imagine just walking down the street with John. You accidentally shoulder-check some wannabe gangster, and the guy yells, "You want to die?" just to flex. In the real world, it's just trash talk. "I'll pluck your eyes out" is just a figure of speech. But in John's twisted logic, that guy ends up with a nice ribbon on his head, minus the rest of his body. That's the nightmare scenario Ju Hyuk is living in. John finally admits he might have overstepped. Suddenly, John drops to one knee. He explains that the bloodshed wasn't for fun, it was to prevent future headaches. Leaving loose ends could bite them later. John insisted no one would know, but Ju Hyuk wasn't having it. Since John couldn't guarantee safety, Ju Hyuk demanded a blood oath. John only strikes when there is a literal knife at Ju Hyuk's throat. No more preemptive strikes based on hunches. John vowed to use better judgment next time. His response was terrifyingly enthusiastic. With that settled, Ju Hyuk just wanted to send him back to the void. But John paused. Are we not climbing the tower? The question hit Ju Hyuk like a truck. He knew the tower was a golden ticket, a once-in-a-lifetime shot, but he was paralyzed by fear. It was a death trap. He could die instantly. He asked if there was another summoner who actually did this crazy stuff. John nodded. His previous master was a true hero, brave and strong. Ju Hyuk felt about 2 inches tall. Someone else used these powers to save the world, while he was too scared to move. He admitted he didn't have the guts to risk his life. He started to call himself a pathetic coward, but John cut him off. You are the best summoner. Wait, what? John dropped some wisdom. The greatest virtue for a summoner is safety first. Bravery is poison. A brave summoner is a dead summoner, and you never know when their clock runs out. And when the summoner dies, the summon is stuck in limbo. John promised to handle all the wet work. He urged Ju Hyuk to keep playing it safe. Live to a ripe old age. That night, Ju Hyuk tossed and turned, wrestling with the decision to climb or not. He decided the tower life wasn't for him. The debt was gone, the collectors were gone. He should just be grateful. He planned to work a normal 9 to 5, live quietly, and believed that if he kept his head down, everything would be fine. Then, reality rang. It was his dad. He asked if Ju Hyuk had been keeping up with rehab. Then came the bad news. They need to move to a bigger, more expensive hospital, and his mom just got fired. His dad tried to play it cool, saying not to worry, and that he just called because they hadn't spoken in a while. He promised to visit soon for a meal, but the desperation was clear. His dad told him not to overwork himself. The call ended, and the decision was made. Ju Hyuk strapped on his full safety gear. He told himself, just the first floor, just a quick peek, in and out. If it gets hairy, he bails immediately. He had cleared his schedule of all part-time jobs. It was time. He prepared the summoning ritual. But wait, he didn't have to summon Crazy John. Maybe he could roll the dice on someone else? He crossed his fingers for a legendary special super rare rank. But the system slammed the door. Random summon, unavailable. It was on cooldown. Remaining time, 28 days, 11 hours, 8 minutes, and 37 seconds. A whole month cooldown? He had no choice. He was stuck with the maniac. He had to summon John. When John materialized, Ju Hyuk couldn't even make eye contact. Wondering if the guy knew he tried to replace him, Ju Hyuk announced they were entering the tower. John's eyes lit up. Brave choice. But Ju Hyuk shut him down. No bravery, just safety. Ju Hyuk assured him it was just a taste test. Get in, look around, get out. John scoffed at the safety gear. Ditch the toys. I am your tool. I am your hunting dog. He promised to handle everything inside. He assured Ju Hyuk he wouldn't have to lift a finger. Then, the prompt appeared. Would you like to enter the Korea Black Tower? Floor 1 unlocked. He hits confirm, and whoosh. Gravity just quits. It's a total freefall. He's screaming his lungs out, while John clings to him like a burr. Reality glitches. Ju Hyuk gets yanked into a neon digital void. Streams of code and light whip past him as he plummets. Ju Hyuk gasps, terror draining the color from his face. He shuts his eyes tight, pure panic setting in as the glowing abyss swallows them. John grips him hard, locking them together as they dive downward. Then, thud, safe landing. Ju Hyuk opens his eyes to a desolate wasteland. Stomach flips. Ju Hyuk hurls his lunch right on the pavement. John's just chilling, asks if he's good, says, you'll get your sea legs soon. John takes point, marching them out of the safety bubble and into the wild. Ding. The system floods Ju Hyuk's veins with power. Stats boosted, combat skills unlocked. So this is the player high. He's only level 1, but he feels swole. Quest log. Crush 5 tough-skinned fatty grubs in 2 hours. Scoreboard reads 0 for 5. Consequences, death or quitting. John spots the targets up ahead. Ju Hyuk knows the meta. Floor 1 is a tutorial. These grubs are basically punching bags. Concept, scarecrows. 0 damage output, but defense stats through the roof. Total damage sponges. Most noobs take 30 minutes just to chip one down. But Ju Hyuk's a player now. He's ready to throw hands. John gives him side-eye, asking, why struggle if you don't have to? Ju Hyuk steps up, then freezes. Wait, where's his gear? He turns to borrow a blade from John, but the grub stands up. It's massive, looming over him like a shadow. Ju Hyuk turns ghost white. He spins around. John, help? John nods. Smart move. John becomes a blur. Bam. One hit, and the grub's head pops like a melon. He tells Ju Hyuk to hang back and rushes the mob. Dual daggers out, grinning like a maniac. He launches the blade's bullseye on multiple targets. Skill activation. Blade explosion. Boom. The stabbed grubs detonate. Instant wipe. Ju Hyuk's jaw hits the floor. Mission complete. Loot. 100 magic stones. Rank. S++. He scores a shiny platinum badge for clearing the Black Tower Korea. Ju Hyuk's on cloud 9. This was a cakewalk. He's fantasizing about the bag he's gonna secure. Meanwhile, across Korea, screens glitch out. Gym rats, clubbers, everyone freezes. A global notification pings. Every player in the country. Floor 2 unlocked. Ju Hyuk gets spat out of the tower instantly. Warp sequence complete. He's back in reality. And yeah, the nausea is back. He checks his watch. 5 minutes. A total speed run. John hypes him up. Good work. Ju Hyuk blinks. I literally just stood there. John nods. Exactly. Perfect strategy. Ju Hyuk recalls stories of people nearly dying, exhausted from beating these grubs. This was a joke. He inspects the loot. Real magic stones. The fuel running the modern world. Prices tanked since the towers popped up, but it's still 50,000 won per 100 grams. It's been 20 years since the Black Towers appeared globally, so everyone knows the basics. Even civilians know the lore. But this platinum badge? Total mystery. Whatever. He's buzzing. He just made 50 grand in 3 minutes. John? He's already binging K-dramas. Ju Hyuk orders a feast. Pigs trotters, jockball. John sniffs the air. Spicy? Ju Hyuk shakes his head. Regular. He knows John can't handle the heat, but John swears he smells spice. Ju Hyuk realizes, wait, he's the one with zero spice tolerance. John chows down, thanking him with that weird formal speech. Ju Hyuk asks, what's with the military talk? John pauses. Ju Hyuk explains, you keep ending sentences with sir or affirmative. John explains, it's a habit from hanging out with his last summoner for ages. Ju Hyuk realizes, it's basically ex-boyfriend baggage, or ex-summoner baggage. John offers to drop it if it's weird. Ju Hyuk grins, nah, keep it, it's a vibe. Ju Hyuk is convinced now. The tower isn't a death trap, it's an ATM. Next morning, he's feeling himself. Uploads his schedule, the alpha male routine, reality check. He still has his day shift at the convenience store, nighttime vibes at the charcoal grill. Ju Hyuk makes a call, he's quitting the side hustle grind. No more part-time labor. It's time to focus on the real work, clearing the tower with John. He heads home and summons his MVP again. John enters the chat with a fresh 5-star rating. Honestly, if Ju Hyuk could drop a 10-star review, he would have done it in a heartbeat. John is hyped about the feedback. He asks, does the rating actually matter? Oh, you bet it does. John breaks down the meta. Higher ratings mean better perks, increased manifestation time, and crucially, a higher priority for getting summoned. Duo queue time. They step onto the second floor of the Black Tower. Mission, squash 10 quick-witted fatty grubs. Time limit, 2 hours. Current score, 0 out of 10. If he dies or quits, instant fail. Ju Hyuk realizes these aren't just bugs, they're tricky little speedsters. They're darting everywhere, way faster than he anticipated. Panic sets in. He asks John, what's the strat here? John laughs it off. Strat? We don't have time for that. He claims this speedrun will be over in 3 minutes. He promises a quick carry so he can escort Ju Hyuk home. Ju Hyuk seals the deal. Finish this, and we're getting fried chicken and beer. Back in reality, John thanks him for the meal promise and immediately goes beast mode on the grubs. Ju Hyuk watches, thinking, this is actual insanity. Mission complete. Level up. Loot secured. A 200-gram magic stone. Then the notification pops. Rank, S++. He just crushed the second floor of the Black Tower Korea. The system awards him a shiny platinum badge. Hitting S++ back to back? It feels illegal. Is it supposed to be this easy? It was so fast he could literally farm this dungeon before his morning shift. Next day, the grind continues. Third floor mission. Target, 10 ice-cold fatty grubs. John notes that Ju Hyuk's landing skills are getting cleaner. A few minutes later, good game. Third floor cleared. Reward, a massive 300-gram magic stone. And once again, that legendary S++ rank flashes on screen. Another platinum badge for the collection. Floor 4, same story. Total domination. Floor 5 gets absolutely steamrolled too. He's now holding 5 S++ platinum badges, and that unlocks a major system perk. The reward, Awakening Trait Enhancement. The effect is a game changer. He can now run 2 summons simultaneously. Ju Hyuk checks his stat screen. Level 6, double summon capacity unlocked. But his catalog is currently empty. His kit, designated Summon, Random Summon, and Summon Release. Passives include the Daily Tower entry, and the Tower exclusive inventory. 0 combat skills to his name. But honestly, Who needs to fight when you can add another unit? To a team where John is already one-shotting everything? Juyak realizes the S++ rewards are brokenly good. This changes the long game completely. His survival rate just skyrocketed. The cooldown for random summon is 20 days. He decides to camp out until then. Wait out the 20 days, then roll deep with a 3-man squad. It's the ultimate free ride strategy. Let the summons do the heavy lifting. Tomorrow, they climb to floor 6. Cut to Hanam Dong, Seoul. The Awakener Management Administration HQ. The atmosphere is tense. 2 officials are glued to the couch. A man paces, wondering if the news drops in the morning, evening, or maybe a late-night leak. A sharp woman in a suit calls him out. You're waiting for the announcement, aren't you? Busted. He jumps, face turning beet red. Stop reading my mind. This nervous wreck is team leader Jeon Gwang-il. The woman reading him like a book is Deputy Director Lee Min-ae. Is it up? He asks. Yes, she confirms. Black Tower, Korea, 6th floor. S++, rank clear. The global announcement system has been spamming notifications lately, and every single ping is an S++ clear. Gwang-il connects the dots. This isn't a team, it's one person. Floors 1 through 5 fell in perfect sequence. This is undeniably a player with unprecedented, god-tier talent. If every single floor was an S++, bam! A fist slams the table, cutting the tension. It's Director Park Gyeong-soo. He's shaken. The highest record in Korea is rank A. They didn't even know ranks went higher, or that an S++ triggers a worldwide flex. In this geopolitical climate, player poaching is the norm. Secret abductions? Just another Tuesday. They need to locate this mystery player immediately before a rival nation snatches them up. The order is given. Keep eyes on every single rookie registration. Do not miss a thing. 2 days later, Juyak is eyeing the 8th floor. His routine is steady, 1 floor a day, 0 drama. The first 10 floors are basically the tutorial zone, so it's been a smooth ride. New setting, the swamp. Mission, defeat 10 red thorn frog warriors. Suddenly, a frog warrior launches an ambush. John flashes his dagger, a blur of steel, and the warriors are shredded in seconds. Ding notification for Juyak. 8th floor mission, clear. The loot drops, an 800-gram magic stone and 5 high-tier tower potions. Another S++ rating crushed on the Black Tower Korea 8th floor. Platinum badge secured. John hypes him up like a deity, but Juyak literally just stood there. John insists that just showing up is the real grind. He claims Juyak is the carry, making the climb a breeze, but warns him, stay frosty. Post-floor 10 gets brutal. Since they speedran this in 3 minutes, Juyak decides to treat his MVP, hands him some cash, tells him to go touch grass, grab some food. The manifestation timer is stacked anyway. One rule, 0 chaos. But John hits him with a hard no. Juyak is shook. John explains he can't leave his master's side, so he'd rather just binge TV at home. Guess absolute obedience includes being a couch potato. Pivot to plan B, ordering fried chicken. John lights up instantly, calls in the order with military precision. Mild flavor can't handle the heat. While John handles the food, Juyak checks the loot drop. Another exclusive healing potion. Stashes it for John, dumps the magic stones on the desk. Now, what to do with this pile of rocks? Inventory check, 3.6 kilos. Street value, a cool 1.8 million won. Might be time to secure the bag. Fast forward to day 10. The big 1-0 is looming. Juyak drags himself home from his wage slave gig. Gear up time. Remember when he just wanted a peek inside? Now he's crushing a floor daily like clockwork. Yesterday's 9th floor corpse flower? Total pushover. He expected a clear, but getting S++ rewards every single time? That hits different. He feels safe. Almost forgot his buddy is a stone-cold killer. Summons John. Drops another 5-star rating. Perfect streak bonus. John's manifestation timer extends by 1 hour. Totally worth the max score. The assassin throws up big arm hearts. Cringe, but wholesome. Now they got an extra hour of carnage. Warp into Black Tower Korea. Stats get boosted instantly. Synced to his level and trait. Combat skills finally unlock around floor 10. He feels the juice. The recalibration is surging through his veins. Power overwhelming. Mana swirling in his gut. He feels dangerous. Like an untamed stallion ready to buck. Riding that high, he confidently tells John he's jumping in the fight. John shuts that down fast. One scratch on Juyak, and John will self-destruct. But Juyak pushes back. He's a stallion, remember? John pleads. Claims Juyak's hype man skills are contribution enough. Juyak squares up to fight, then freezes. A massive eyeball stares back. Giant bug alert. Terror hits. How do normal players even dent this thing? He mumbles that ganking a mere insect with 2 people is beneath his dignity. John looks confused. Sir, that's not how pride works. Juyak doubles down. It hurts my pride huge. Truth is, The boss looks terrifying. He tags John in. The giant praying mantis lunges. John goes airborne, sprints up the bug's thorax. Icy glare, blades blurring. He shreds the thing to ribbons. Just like that, floor 10 is history. Loot. Another 1 kilogram stone. Another S++. Another platinum trophy for the collection. John reports back, barely sweating. Mission complete. Floor 11 unlocked. Warped back to reality. Stone count, 5.5 kilos total. 10 badges means a new perk tier. He's rubbing his hands together for this one. Reward, skill copy. He can snag a move from his summon. The menu opens, blade explosion, shock break, vile ambush, poison dagger, shadow step, disruption, stealth, invisibility, polymorph. John points instantly. Pick shadow step. Juyok blinks. John clarifies. Don't even think about the others, master. Shadow step. Final answer, why? Best mobility for escaping. If I go down, you flee fast and quiet. Juyok's eye twitches at the implication. Do I look like the type to ditch my crew and save my own skin? He locked in shadow step. Even a rookie knows that fancy footwork is the bread and butter of surviving a brawl. The old saying, footwork is life, echoed in his head. But he had to wonder, does that gaming logic actually hold up in the concrete jungle? He gave it a test run in the backyard. And nothing. Nada. He groaned how come the summoning spell worked, but this skill glitched out. Total bust. Fast forward to day 11 of the daily grind. He finally caved and dialed up the Awakener Management Administration. Call center here. He dropped the news that he'd awakened. They practically threw a parade over the phone and promised a house call. We're sending support. Before he could even stutter out his zip code, they were like, on our way. Talk about express service. Hanging up, he slumped over. Selling magic stones sounded easy, but making that call? That drained his entire social battery. It was the gutsiest move of his 25 years on Earth. Meanwhile, a sleek government ride was already cruising his block with Director Lee and Guang Il inside. Guang Il broke the silence, asking about that mysterious awakener who pinged them from Daegu yesterday. She shrugged. She shut that down fast. Doubt it's our S++ record holder. Guang Il sighed, wondering if this phantom player was even real. Got another ping? She said, eyeing her tablet. You coming? He nodded. No rest for the wicked, right? They had to hustle, while the trail was hot. If they found their mystery superstar, the plan was to draft them into the elite squad immediately. Blank check, full perks, whatever it took to sign them. At the same time, Ju Hyuk was frantically tidying up his place. Right on cue, the suits arrived. He took a breath and ushered them inside. Team leader Zhang Guang-il took the lead, introducing himself and Deputy Director Lee Min-ah. She's a player too, he added. So, feel free to talk shop. Great. Now Ju Hyuk was sweating bullets. A pro player and a woman? She leaned in way too close, making his face burn. Then she whispered the bombshell. It's you, the S++ ranker. Ju Hyuk short-circuited. He let out a strangled yelp, throwing his hands up like he was under arrest. Pure reflex. Then, her words actually hit him. Panic faded into confusion. Did they have some secret scanner for awakeners he didn't know about? Play it cool. Deny everything. But his body went rigid, moving with all the grace of a rusty cyborg. Heard of him. Not me, though. Smooth. About as convincing as a toddler with chocolate on his face. Min-ah caught the lie instantly. Guang-il tried to smack her arm, scolding, "Stop grilling the civilian." She swerved the hit effortlessly. "Just doing my job." He apologized for the roughness, but Ju Hyuk figured this was all some intense psychological test. Suddenly, a hologram flickered on. A cute chibi mascot. A winged black tower with a star wand struck a pose. "Hiya, I'm Toby," the mascot chirped, launching into the standard orientation video about the tower. Visuals shifted to the real deal. Pitch black, menacing, and so massive, it made skyscrapers look like Lego bricks. 20 years ago, these nightmares spawned globally overnight. Every government panicked. They sent tanks, nukes, scientists, nothing worked. The towers were physically locked tight, blocked by some invisible force field. The world held its breath until the first players emerged to answer the riddle. Turns out, it's a game. Climb floors, beat bosses. And the players? Regular folks like you and me. But inside, they're gods wielding magic and skills. They grind for loot and upgrade their gear, using tower drops to fuel the global economy. But there's a catch, a deadly one. If the top floors aren't cleared within 6 months, the system gets angry. A timer starts. When it hits 0, the tower breaks. 3 years back, that's how Mumbai got wiped off the map. Most countries host 1 to 3 towers. South Korea drew the short straw with 1, planted deep in the rugged mountains of Gangwon province. And players? They're rare, like 0.02% rare. That's only 5 to 10,000 people nationwide, a tiny elite force. However, Korea is crushing it. cleared up to the 65th floor, holding the silver medal in the global rankings. Right behind the States at 66. But hey, no need to panic, society worships these climbers as modern-day heroes. Like explorers of old charting new worlds, humanity is now decoding the Black Tower. Awakeners are the future. The video ended with a flashy "Join us" call to action. You could be next. Presentation over. Gwang-il cut the feed and got down to business. So, you really awakened? Ju-hyuk nodded. Yeah, been inside and everything. Did some clearing. He dumped a bag of magic stones on the table. Gwang-il's eyes narrowed. What floor? 10. Ju-hyuk dropped casually. The agents froze, exchanging a terrified look. That was the exact floor of the S-ranker. That S++ grade is burning a hole in the record books, and now she is officially suspicious of him. She hits him with the big question. Did you catch wind of that viral global notice everyone's freaking out about? He tries to keep his poker face locked down tight. Yeah, I heard about it, he lies, trying to look totally casual. No clue who it is, though. Dude must be an absolute monster to pull that off. He is deflecting hard. But his acting? Terrible. Stiff as a board. Gwang-il notices immediately and says, hey, relax. No need to sweat bullets. But inside, the recruiters are wondering, is this guy just a nervous wreck? Or is he hiding something massive? The suspicion is real, but business comes first. They dive into the contract details. See, the government manages players by splitting them into two different leagues. League 1, the elite climbing team, the big dogs. League 2, the general climbing team, the casuals. The general team is basically freelancer mode. You make your own schedule, do your own thing. But the elite team, that is a whole different ballgame. If you go elite, you are practically married to the government's Awakener Management Administration. You belong to them, tight leash and all. You have mandatory obligations to raid high floors, but the perks are insane. We are talking full support, buffs, and the ultimate benefit, personal protection. Because let's face it, outside the tower, players are just squishy civilians. They need bodyguards. Plus, if he signs elite, he gets a guaranteed base annual salary, free money. But Ju-hyuk's brain is spiraling. He imagines the nightmare scenario. What if they find out he is the S++ legend? The media would swarm him like vultures. The loner of Hanam-dong. He can see the headlines now. Being famous in an affluent neighborhood, he would rather die. Literally. That kind of attention is his kryptonite. Then Gwang-il drops the bomb. If you go elite, you have to wear a body cam. Every raid recorded. Every move watched. That is the deal breaker right there. Ju-hyuk shuts it down instantly. Pass on the elite team. I'm good with general. The recruiters are stunned. Who turns down the VIP treatment? Gwang-il is baffled. The elite deal is objectively better. Ju-hyuk hits him with the excuse, I've got zero talent, man. Honestly, I'm terrified. I just want to farm easy floors, get my loot, and go home safe. Gwang-il tries to push. Whoa, think it over slowly, no rush. But Ju-hyuk is a stone wall. Decisions made. Mine lets out a heavy sigh. She is thinking, great, another dud. Sure, plenty of players play it safe and farm resources, but nobody ever says it so shamelessly to their face. Even if he applied for elite, that coward mindset would disqualify him instantly during testing. He fails the vibe check hard. He is the exact type of player they hate. To be elite, you need hunger. You need the will to climb higher. He has got none of that. They accept his choice barely. Gwang-il asks him to hop into the tower one last time. Just a formality to confirm he is actually awakened. Plus, you get one entry a day. Use it or lose it, right? Might as well not waste the ticket. Gwang-il suggests, hey, why not clear a level while you're in there? Ju-hyuk senses the trap instantly. He is fishing. Gwang-il is trying to see if Ju-hyuk accidentally reveals S++ skills. Ju-hyuk plays along but sets expectations low. Sure, but I'm slow. I usually take the full-time limit. Probably gonna be in there for close to 2 hours. He is lowering the bar to the floor. The recruiters are getting paid by the hour, so they don't care. Mine puts on her fake smile. Take your time. No pressure. Ju-hyuk gears up. Before he steps in, he waves them off. Watch some TV, raid my fridge. I'm gonna be a while. The audacity of this guy. And poof, he vanishes into the portal. Gwang-il nods. Okay, he's definitely awakened. Then he turns to Mine. What's your read on him? Mine shrugs. Talent? Who knows? But his personality? Trash. He is timid, meek, total NPC energy. I bet he quits on the 11th floor, she predicts. Gwang-il raises an eyebrow. Why the 11th? She smirks. She knows that floor tests fear. Long-tailed tunnel centipedes, she says. Not strong, just nasty. You have to squash 100 of them. They look like nightmares. A coward like him? No way he has the guts to kill 100 of those gross things. She is betting on him running back to the safe zone, just abandoning the mission entirely. And Gwang-il knows Minai rarely misses. Her instincts are usually deadly accurate. He grabs his phone to call the director. Looks like we found another bust. Meanwhile, inside the tower, Ju Hyuk summons his shadow servant. John, get out here. John bows immediately. Thank you for the summon, Master. The mission pops up. Defeat 100 long-tailed tunnel centipedes. Time limit, 3 hours. Counter, 0 out of 100. Fail condition, death or running away. Ju Hyuk looks at the creepy crawlies and shudders. Disgusting. And I gotta kill 100? John flexes. I got this, boss. Give me 5 minutes. I'll wipe the floor. But Ju Hyuk holds up a hand. Whoa, easy there, speed racer. We need to drag this out. Make it take over an hour. If we clear it too fast, I get tagged with an S++ record again. There are spies watching outside. I'm gonna unsummon you before we finish, so it looks like I did it solo. John nods. Understood. Stealth mode engaged. Ju Hyuk is playing 4D chess. He wants his record to look messy and average, so he can dodge the S++ manhunt. John starts slicing centipedes, but even his slow mode is too fast. Ju Hyuk panics. Dude, slower. You're still too cracked. He orders him to basically crawl. The kill rate drops to a snail's pace. Ju Hyuk nods. Okay, this looks believable. Suddenly, boom, the ground erupts beneath him. A giant centipede shoots up, knocking him off balance. They are swarming. He tries to trigger an escape skill, but his body freezes up. Glitch? Fear? He can't move. John whips around, panic flashing in his shadowy eyes. John blitzes the enemy, instantly vaporizing the centipedes swarming the area. He's actually offended these bugs, dared to look at his summoner. He pulls off an instant multi-kill, but Ju Hyuk realizes his minion has 0 chill. He frantically tells John to throttle it back. Ju Hyuk demands he move at a snail's pace, but John refuses. His master's safety is priority number 1. Ju Hyuk is just praying he doesn't try this hard. Ding! The system notification pops. Floor cleared. Rank S++. A platinum badge drops. Access to the 12th floor? Unlocked. Ju Hyuk is teleporting out with the most bored, deadpan face imaginable. Total elapsed time? Just 5 minutes. Outside, Mine is checking her watch, figuring he probably rage quit. But then, boom, the global announcement lights up the sky. Black Tower, Korea, 11th floor, clear grade, S++. And right on cue, Ju Hyuk steps out of the portal. Mine's jaw hits the floor. Gwang-il asks what's wrong, and she stammers out that the timing was suspicious. The exact second Ju Hyuk materialized, the S++ notification dropped, but the vibe is off. Our boy looks deadly serious. Ju Hyuk is muttering to himself, realizing he totally overdid it. With his terrifying shadow summon looming behind him, Ju Hyuk whispers, "Silence them." He meant shut them up, but John takes it literally and decapitates them instantly. Ju Hyuk lets out a blood-curdling scream. He's panicking, yelling, "Who told you to chop their heads off?" The severed heads, wrapped in ribbons, start talking back to him. He's apologizing profusely to the corpses, but wait, snap back to reality. It was just a hallucination. In the real world, they're just sitting across from him. Ju Hyuk breaks into a cold sweat. He realizes his anxiety just triggered a waking nightmare. He tries to compose himself, while Gwang-il insists their elite team absolutely needs a monster talent like him. Ju Hyuk forces the most awkward, painful smile. He's sweating buckets, rambling at light speed to gaslight them into thinking it's a misunderstanding. Total coincidence. Must be another player's clear. Gwang-il isn't buying it. The timing was too perfect, kid. Ju Hyuk doubles down on the denial. Gwang-il presses him one last time. Are you sure it wasn't you? Yep. Ju Hyuk lies through his teeth. Gwang-il sighs, admits defeat on the interrogation, and pulls out the contract since he's an awakened one. But plot twist. Ju Hyuk asked for the basic package, and Gwang-il slides over an elite contract. Gwang-il flexes, saying, "This isn't your standard paperwork. This is a god-tier contract, unique in the entire industry. Because it's ultra-elite, we're talking an annual salary of 12 billion won, plus luxury housing, VIP treatment, and private security detail. Oh, and immunity privileges? He'd basically be above the law." Ju Hyuk realizes this is basically modern nobility. They explain that currently, this perk is exclusive to the #1 ranked player in Korea, Yu Chul-min. Gwang-il urges him to read the fine print. The nation is offering him everything on a silver platter. Ju Hyuk's response? Hard pass. If it's not a general contract, he's walking away. Gwang-il is stunned. Why would anyone reject this? Ju Hyuk drops the bomb. He hates attention. Attention equals burden. Burden equals stress. Stress makes his heart hurt. The recruiters realize he's a massive introvert. Plus, he's only on floor 11, the future is too unpredictable to lock himself in. Gwang-il realizes pushing him now would backfire. It's better to play the long game. They settle on the general contract. Ju Hyuk knows the viewers would be screaming at the screen, asking why. He didn't just take the bag and the fame, but the elite contract is a golden, violently trap. The responsibilities match the pay. Once you sign, you can't just retire from clearing floors. That team exists solely to push into the dangerous, uncleared upper levels. Ju-hyuk wants zero part of that grind. He just wants a comfy paycheck. Meanwhile, at the Seoul Hanam-dong Awakening Bureau, Director Park is looking at a report that doesn't match the rumors. Gwang-il reported that Ju-hyuk is a timid player, with zero ambition. The director double-checks. And this guy is the S++ clearer? Gwang-il confirms. The director can't compute. Ju-hyuk's personality is a paradox, pathologically shy but insanely powerful. Director Park asks if they got the wrong guy. Mine shuts that down, it's impossible. The timestamp is exact. The director decides he doesn't care about the personality. Talent is talent. Drag him into the elite team by any means necessary. Gwang-il takes the order seriously. The hunt is on. Back in the tower, Ju-hyuk is fuming. He already said no. He's venting his stress on John, acting tough, but honestly, it's exhausting him. He gives John a final warning. Pull a stunt like that again, and you're done. They step into the 12th floor of the Black Tower. New mission, hunt 20 ice snow icicle spear weasels. Time limit, 3 hours. Let's go. Ju-hyuk pulled John aside, looking him dead in the eye. Slow down. John nodded happily, but that smile was suspicious. The MC really wanted to trust the guy this time. If they cleared this level at a normal pace, the federal agents would finally stop obsessing over him. But man, the temperature was brutal. He packed winter gear, but this dungeon was practically the Arctic. Ju-hyuk tried to poker face through the shivering, but John caught him looking pale. Master, you good? Ju-hyuk muttered that he could handle it. Big mistake. John immediately panicked, swearing to speedrun the stage and drag Ju-hyuk to a heater. The MC tried to say, I'm fine, so he could keep the clear time realistic, but John was already gone. In John's mind, a cold wasn't just a sniffle, it was a terminal illness. He basically thought his master was dying. Fueled by pure panic, John went full Slayer mode, deleting monsters instantly. Ping. The system notified Ju-hyuk. 15 platinum badges collected. New perk unlocked. Reward, Energy Shield Kit. The item materialized straight into his tower inventory. Our MC slapped that bracelet on immediately. This thing projects a force field that tanks damage for the user. It has a damage cap before it breaks, with a 5-hour cooldown to recharge. Plus, the durability scales with his level. A translucent barrier shimmered around him, basically a sci-fi suit of armor. The kicker? No, tower exclusive tag. That meant this OP defense worked in the real world too. Dollar signs flashed in his eyes. He did the math. This thing could easily fetch 2 or 3 billion won on the market. He briefly fantasized about cashing out right now and retiring from this hunter life. But then logic hit him. Higher floors equal crazier loot. Hype levels rising, he asked John. Can we smash floor 16 right now? We need that S++ rank. John hesitated. We can clear it, master, but I can't promise an S++. That wasn't the answer Ju-hyuk wanted. The vibe instantly shifted to awkward. John just stood there munching on cookies like nothing happened, asking, what's wrong? Ju-hyuk went back to thinking about pawning the bracelet. Cut to the outside world. Director Park was sweating bullets because the global S++ clear announcements had gone silent. Mine checked the logs. It's been 15 days, sir. Gwang-il confirmed the grim news. The player was camping out on floor 15. Director Park absolutely lost it. He screamed at the sky, ranting about God giving God-tier talent to such a chicken-hearted player. Gwang-il played devil's advocate, noting the difficulty spike. On floor 16 is insane. He didn't think Ju-hyuk quit, he just needed a minute. Let's wait, he suggested. Suddenly, a notification popped. A text from Ju-hyuk, heading to the Awakener management office. Need to hit the player shop. Park's brain finally clicked. The kid wasn't stuck, he was grinding floor 15 to stack cash for gear. Gwang-il nodded. That checks out. Remember, Ju-hyuk was totally broke and gearless when they raided his apartment. Park felt like a total clown for trash-talking the guy. Guilt-ridden, he barked an order. When he gets here, give him whatever he wants. Price is no object. Give him a massive discount. Meanwhile, back in the dungeon, John looked like he was about to throw up. Ju-hyuk had just asked for a favor. Stab me. John looked at him like he was asking to commit treason. Master, if you hate me, just beat me to death instead, John wailed. Ju-hyuk rolled his eyes. Chill. I just want to test if the energy shield works. I'm not asking for a mercy kill. Why was this guy being such a drama queen over a little poke? John suddenly went deaf, pretending he couldn't hear the request. Ju-hyuk got annoyed. Fine, I'll do it myself. He grabbed John's wrist, forced the dagger toward his own chest, and slash. Blood dripped. Ju-hyuk froze. He realized he forgot to actually turn the shield on. John screamed, terrified, and demanded to chop off his own sinful arm. Luckily, the auto-heal kicked in. John was traumatized. Please, never do that again. Ju-hyuk apologized, and shooed him away to hunt. Whoosh! John vanished, slicing through creatures in the treetops before you could blink. Ju-hyuk figured he had 10 minutes to kill, so he decided to test drive his own moves. He triggered Shadow Step. The world blurred. He moved so fast he left an afterimage behind. He stared at his hands, shook. So this is what speed feels like. Now he understood why John was so obsessed with him learning this. Complete freedom of movement. But let's be real, it's the ultimate runaway skill. Suddenly, a noise. A goblin. The thing was barely alive, crawling out of hiding to escape John, but it saw Ju-hyuk and lunged. Panic mode. He triggered the shield instantly. Clang! The barrier snapped on just in time, saving his arm from being goblin lunch. Visibly grossed out, he punted that goblin like a soccer ball. It flew straight at John, who slashed it midair, a perfect assist for the kill. John was ready to crack a joke about Ju-hyuk's soccer skills, but the words died in his throat. Realization hit him like a truck. Ju-hyuk had been seconds away from death. You good? He was all over him, patting him down, rapid-firing questions about whether he fought the thing and if he was bleeding anywhere. After a full TSA-style inspection, including a weird armpit sniff, he realized Ju-hyuk was miraculously scratch-free. Then came the lecture. He tore into Ju-hyuk for being a reckless idiot. Ju-hyuk's ears were practically ringing from the volume. My bad, won't happen again, he muttered. Fast forward through 15 days of grinding on the 15th floor, and he was finally vibing with his skills. The Hall of Magic Stones weighed in at exactly 22.5 kilograms. That's a cool 11,250,000 won. Gwangil hit him back, and Ju-hyuk asked to hit up the player shop. Gwangil wasn't having it. We're sending a car immediately. Ju-hyuk tried to play it cool and walk, but the guy insisted. Standard perk for contracted players, apparently. Next thing he knows, a sleek luxury ride pulls up to whisk him away. Step out, and boom, Gwangil is there rolling out the red carpet. The VIP treatment was real, and Ju-hyuk could feel the difference. Inside, they scanned his vein data. Access granted. Now he could drop by the shop whenever, no appointment needed. Gwangil offered the grand tour, but Ju-hyuk passed. He wanted to explore solo. He stepped into the player shop, and man, the place was dripping in luxury. Weirdly, it was a ghost town, no other shoppers. Too pricey? Whatever. First mission, liquidate those magic stones. The appraisal hit 11,250,000 won. Transfer time, 3 days. Can I spend that credit now, he asked. The answer was a solid yes. Wiped out, he decided to grab his gear and bounce. Meanwhile, Director Park was grilling Gwangil about the shopping experience. He's browsing now, Gwangil reported. And don't worry, we told every other player the shop is closed for the day. And the prices? The director asked. Slashed, Gwangil confirmed. I told the staff, 90% off everything. Free stuff would freak him out, he explained. He's too timid, he'd refuse. This way, he pays, but barely. Good call, Park nodded. Back at the crib, Ju-hyuk unboxed his loot. An adamant mace. Price tag, 2 million won. Then, the basilisk leather walkers. Another 3 million won dropped. He did the math. Gear like this usually starts at 20 or 30 million, minimum. Between the insane prices and Gwangil playing doorman, the special treatment was undeniable. It felt heavy, owing them like that. But looking at those fresh kicks, he couldn't help but grin. Conflicted, but stylish. Crazy thing was, these boots were his only armor, and he could get away with it thanks to his energy shield. That perk was an all-in-one defense system. Helmet, chestplate, greaves replaced by pure energy. He swore he wouldn't get power-hungry climbing the tower. But this perk? It was whispering things to him. A literal devil. It was slowly feeding his greed. The next day, he called John out. John snapped a salute. Back to the grind on floor 15, boss? Nope, Ju-hyuk grinned. Floor 16. The summon cooldown was finally 0. Time to add a third member to the squad. As the summoning circle glowed, Ju-hyuk prayed to the RNG gods with everything he had. A purple aura manifested, but it kept growing. And growing. Crash. The light column smashed right through his apartment roof. Ju-hyuk stood frozen, jaw on the floor. Eyes wide, pupils trembling, sweat dripping like rain. Pure terror. His brain short-circuited thinking about what kind of kaiju he just invited into his living room. But mostly, he was mourning his security deposit. That roof hole just ate his savings. Then, massive limbs started to materialize. It was a giant. Human? Monster? Hard to tell. Suddenly, wham! John drop-kicked the Titan, screaming at him to sit down. John's boot connected squarely with the giant's face. He kept stomping, raging. Of all the souls in hell, why him? You ruined my life. Just die already, John shrieked. Ju-hyuk watched, bewildered. So, they're old friends? The giant looked annoyed, barely fazed. Stop it, that tickles. Tickles? John pulled his blade. Keep talking. I'll slice your throat and wrap it in a pretty bow. Ju Hyuk stepped in. One skylight was enough damage for today. Hey, cut it out, he ordered. John froze instantly. Step back. Ju Hyuk wanted to greet the new guy, but John scoffed. Don't bother. This guy is a legend back home. A legendary moron, he spat. I bet this meathead couldn't even recite the 3 laws to save his life. The guy insisted he had the rules down cold, so John called his bluff and told him to spit them out. He started reciting. Article 1 was total submission to the summoner. Article 2, always prioritize understanding value. But when he got to the 3rd rule, absolute blank. That was all the ammo John needed. He coldly suggested executing the guy and banning his summon rights for 100 days. Steam was practically pouring out of the poor guy's ears. Ju Hyuk was shook. He didn't even know a penalty that brutal was on the table. A holographic interface popped up, slapping the man with a humiliating title, Dim-Witted Savage Meat Shield of the Great Plains Tribe. Name, unknown. Rank, rare. Class, Human Savage Warrior. Summon time, 10 hours. Cooldown, 3 hours. Right now, his satisfaction rating was 0. Ju Hyuk's heart sank. Pulling in rank was basically hitting rock bottom in the gacha pool. He seriously considered waiting a full month to re-roll. Trying to salvage the situation, he asked the giant for his name. Forgot it, the warrior muttered. Location? No clue. The tower? Never heard of it. Frustration started bubbling up in our MC, so he pivoted to the detailed specs to see what he was actually dealing with. Bam, flashback trigger. Just like with John, Ju Hyuk got yanked into the guy's memories, waking up in the middle of a massive, grassy expanse. There was the savage warrior, giggling while chasing butterflies. A hulking member of the Great Plains tribe with a soul as pure as snow. Living in the wild was his definition of bliss. But don't let the innocence fool you. His raw physical stats were god tier. When massive plains wolves lunged for the kill, he thought it was playtime. He accidentally pulverized their bones without even breaking a sweat. He was just too simple. Eventually, a stranger tracked him down to verify the legends. The rumors were right. The guy was a titan. The stranger introduced himself as Ares and asked for a name, but the warrior's mind was blank. That was the beginning of the end. The innocent giant got played by a fake hero. Ares threw him onto the front lines as a literal meat shield against a nightmare boss, the Hydra. Relying on his insane durability, he tanked the Hydra's toxic breath. He ripped the beast's heads off one by one, totally oblivious to his own skin, melting off his bones. His only drive was protecting his squad. But the acid was relentless, and eventually, he just dissolved into nothing. As he died, his so-called comrades stood around, roasting him for his stupidity. Ju Hyuk finally got the meat shield title. The sheer cruelty of it brought tears to his eyes. Intellect didn't matter anymore. Ju Hyuk extended a hand, welcoming the big guy to the team and inviting him to conquer the tower together. The giant reached back, but his hand was massive. Ju Hyuk ended up shaking a single finger. Time for a name. Ju Hyuk threw out Yaman or Gobang, but the warrior looked totally lost on which to pick. You choose, Ju Hyuk urged. The giant pointed to Gobang. Ju Hyuk swore right then and there to give Gobang a happy life. Do you trust me? He asked. Gobang didn't hesitate. He was all in, ready to follow Ju Hyuk to hell and back. Our MC turned to John. We're a trio now. Deal with it. John looked like he just swallowed a lemon, but behind that scowl, John was already cooking up a twisted scheme. He pitched the idea that Gobang was the ultimate tank, promising to whip him into shape and train him into a legit combatant. Plan set. Ju Hyuk announced the target, floor 16. Gobang bellowed a thunderous, yes sir. John immediately stomped on Gobang's foot for the lag. Gobang, he was really starting to get on his nerves. Look at this squad, a nervous normie, a psycho assassin, and a meat shield with rocks for brains. Talk about a recipe for disaster. They stepped into the 16th floor of the Korea Black Tower. Stats, synced up, skills unlocked. They were live. Ju Hyuk just prayed they wouldn't wipe. The objective flashed on the HUD: eliminate 30 goblin scouts within 5 hours. John barked orders: pop that energy shield, keep Shadow Step on standby. Good call. These goblins were snipers with poison needles, and they loved throwing a surprise party. Swish, a needle screamed toward Ju Hyuk. Snatch John grabbed it mid-air before it could land. Ambush Ju Hyuk dove behind a boulder while John deflected the incoming rain of death. The rock started crumbling under the barrage. 50 enemies. No way more. Gobang, tank them, Ju Hyuk shouted. The big guy's face hardened. Thump, thump. The ground quaked. He launched himself skyward. John blinked as the goblins scattered in panic. A massive shadow eclipsed the sun, forcing him to look up. Boom. Gobang landed like a meteor. The shockwave sent everything flying, catching the mob in the blast. Even John got tossed back. Ju Hyuk watched in awe. That wasn't a fight. It was bullying. The survivors fired more poison needles, but they bounced off Gobang's skin like toothpicks. He crushed them instantly. Rank R. No way. That damage output screamed SSR tier. Ju Hyuk realized the low rank was definitely because of his single-digit IQ. Back at base, it was fried chicken time. Gobang inhaled it. Ju Hyuk hyped him up. Eat up, big guy, you earned it. Whack John slapped the giant. Slow down, one piece at a time. Can't these two just chill? Suddenly John turned red. His mouth was a volcano. He clearly underestimated the spice level. Some assassin, Ju Hyuk, snickered. Can kill monsters but can't handle a little chili. Out of nowhere, Gobang mumbled summoner. Good man. Ju Hyuk froze. He give me kitchen. Help me live. Ju Hyuk felt the heat rise to his cheeks. Genuinely touched. Nah, man, he stammered. You saved me. I'm the one leaning on you. Smack John hit Gobang again. It's chicken, you idiot, not kitchen. The sound made Ju Hyuk flinch. Hey, let him eat in peace, Ju Hyuk yelled. John shrugged. Just teaching him vocabulary. Truth was, he was just salty. Gobang was vacuuming up all the food. While they argued. Next morning, Korea Black Tower, 17th floor. Stats recalibrated. Skills online. They were back in the game. Hitting level 17 felt like a rush of pure electricity. The power was intoxicating. His heart hammered like a Vate engine. He was hyped, ready to brawl. Chill out, John cut in. Noobs get cocky around level 20 and die. I'll take point. Gobang stepped up, I protect. Ju Hyuk deflated. Okay, fine, I'll stay back. Objective crush 30 goblin warriors. But the YouTube guides lied. This was a nightmare. A battalion of 90 warriors stood there formatted like a real army. These weren't mindless beasts. They had tactics. The strategy guide suggested the usual grind. Retreat to safe zone. Wait for them to split. Aggro, small groups of 3. Rinse and repeat until the mission clears. Safe, sure. Boring and slow, absolutely. Ju Hyuk wasn't about that grind life. He looked at his tank. Gobang move. Roar Gobang unleashed his aura. With this beast, floor 20 would be a cakewalk. Wipe them out, Ju Hyuk commanded already, dreaming of his next loot drop. Gobang thundered forward. The goblin general screamed. Shield wall, defensive positions. Spears rained down tink-tink useless against Gobang's hide. He hit their line like a freight train. Bodies went airborne. Crunch. Goblins kissed the dirt hard. Ju Hyuk grinned. Tactics are cute when you're evenly matched. But this was like throwing plastic tricycles at a military tank. Pure destruction. Then the system chime rang out. Another floor bites the dust. Floor 17 of the Black Tower totally obliterated. Rank S++. The loot. That shiny platinum badge. Our MC is vibing with the win. John catches the look on his face. He's shook, maybe even a little salty. But there's no time for feelings. Floor 18 is calling. The objective: wipe out goblin assassins. The strat, same as always. Ju Hyuk sends the tank Gobang straight into the meat grinder. But these goblins aren't brawlers. They're stealth mains. And the goblins are totally baffled. Gobang starts ripping up whole trees, accidentally scooping up the invisible enemies like he's clearing weeds. Pure chaos. The big guy frowns, yelling he's fighting ghosts. Ju Hyuk's grin fades fast. This isn't going to be a walk in the park. The difficulty just spiked. Gobang is roaring for them to show their faces, but then laughter. John's cackle cuts through the woods. He throws shade at Ju Hyuk cold. I'm done watching this brain-dead meat shield routine. Time to bleach my eyes with some actual skill. The goblins think they're invisible. Cute. John pops shadow step. He's a blur. Blink, and you miss him slicing through the mob. The kill feed goes crazy. Ju Hyuk looks amazed. Or is he? Plot twist. He planned this. He knew John was feeling insecure about getting sidelined by the tank. It's all about that rivalry. Ju Hyuk stoked the fires of competition between John and Gobang on purpose, and oh boy is it paying off. He engineered this whole setup so they'd carry the squad and rack up badges. Ju Hyuk needs those perk upgrades to min-max his stats. He is creeping up on level 18. Finally, it is time to take the kid gloves off and let the wild stallion run free. Rewind a bit. Before stepping onto floor 18, Ju Hyuk did his homework. Intel says these assassins are rocking low-tier stealth. With enough focus, they are basically beacons. Zero fear. He has drilled the shadow step tech until his feet bled. Flashback to the 15th floor grind. He tried to ghost a goblin, got in position, and then, snap, twisted his ankle like a total noob. He trips, flails, and oops, accidentally plants his dagger right in the goblin's skull. Talk about maxed out luck stats. Mission progress is progress, right? He breathes a sigh of relief, claiming all according to plan until another goblin spawns behind him. Back to now. John is a machine carving through the horde. The count hits 25 out of 30. Make that 26 off goes ahead. 3 left on the board. Gobang crashes the party swinging blindly like a wrecking ball. Boom, he catches all 3 in the splash damage. Big guy wants to help, but John yells, "You're blocking my lane." That is when John pauses. Wait, where is Ju Hyuk? Cut to Ju Hyuk. He pops his energy shield, backpedaling hard. Too slow, a heavy hit rattles his skull. Without that barrier, game over. Now he is circled, no backup. He drops into a fighting stance. Maybe it is the adrenaline, but suddenly everything is moving in jelly. The goblins look like they are lagging. Bullet time activated. 1, 2, 3. He drops them methodically. Dust settles, and the system pings rank S double plus secured. Floor 18 cleared. Result: absolute perfection. The platinum badge drops into his inventory. John is frantic, scanning the area. He finds our MC, who is standing there grinning, claiming he might have just stolen the last kill. John collapses, legs giving out. Thank God the guy is alive. Meanwhile, back at Tower HQ, Min-ah stares at the screen. Global announcement: Floor 18 crushed with max rank. Director Park is practically glowing. Gwangil notes that Ju-hyuk is a runaway train of prep and skill. Director Park is itching to spill the beans. He wants to grab a mic and scream that the legend with 18 straight S+ wins is right under their noses. Gwangil shuts him down fast. Don't even joke about that. Min-ah chimes in. Doxing him equals a death sentence. Park backpedals. He is just a proud fanboy. Ju-hyuk isn't just a player anymore. He is a VIP. He needs security tighter than the top guilds. Cut to the evening news breaking story. After a 20-day silence, a storm is brewing in the Black Tower. The climb is back on. 18 perfect clears in a row. Unheard of. This mysterious climber just rewrote the history books. Analysts peg this ghost player at level 19. And it isn't just the gaming community freaking out. The whole country is obsessed. Who is the S+ phantom? Everyone is hunting for a name. Click. John kills the TV and lets out a heavy breath. Ju-hyuk shifts awkwardly, telling him to quit with the dramatic sighs. Spit it out, John. John looks him dead in the eye. It's too fast, boss. He is talking about Ju-hyuk's growth rate. Ju-hyuk blinks, confused. Talent him. He thinks he is average at best. He figures John must be talking about someone else. He laughs it off, but John isn't laughing. That final shadow step perfection. Clean enough to make John jealous. And that is exactly why it is terrifying. I'm dead serious. He warns him. Once the adrenaline becomes fun, the ego starts to inflate. Confidence breeds recklessness. Brave heroes get killed. John points a finger. Remember the pact we made on day 1. Safety first. Survival is king. Ju-hyuk nods. Agreed. No heroics. I will take them one by one. John rolled with it, but the bad vibes were screaming at him. His gut told him this summoner was a walking disaster waiting to happen. Gobang started trash-talking, calling him a pathetic crybaby. John snapped wham. He booted Gobang right in the face, threatening to turn him into boiled soup. Gobang flew backward, slamming into the fridge hard enough to bust it open. Content spill everywhere. That was the breaking point for Ju-hyuk. Tears welling up, he screamed at them to quit wrecking his crib and despawn immediately. He forced the unsummon. Looking at his mom's homemade kimchi splattered all over the floor, he felt absolutely gutted. He needed a reset, so he decided to crash at his parents' place the next day. Morning came, he swung the door open and announced, "The prodigal son has returned." Mom shouted for him to get in, while Dad grilled him with a smile, asking why. He was such a stranger when he lived just down the block. Mom immediately shut Dad down for nagging the busy boy. Ju-hyuk checked in on his old man's hip. Dad tried to flex and stand, but Ju-hyuk wasn't having it. "Stay down, old man." Dad laughed it off, saying he was basically bedridden anyway, so standing was a treat. Mom ordered everyone to the table, because the stew was hot. "Where's the brat?" Dad asked. Mom said Min-hyuk was on a tofu run, and would be back in a sec. Dinner was served. Mid-chew, Ju-hyuk asked if money was tight lately. Mom instantly played defense, swearing she'd land a new gig soon. Dad chimed in, telling him to quit worrying about them and focus on his own grind. They made it clear no sending money home. Ju-hyuk decided to vibe check the room. "Imagine if I awakened right now. Crazy, right?" Dad slapped the table thud. Ju-hyuk flinched hard. For a split second he thought he blew his cover, but Dad just burst out laughing. "You a hunter?" He asked if that was a stand-up comedy routine. He couldn't picture his son awakening, when the kid was his exact clone, a grown man who still begged mommy to kill cockroaches. "Please." Min-hyuk walked in and joined the roast, calling it the joke of the century. Mom scolded them, saying it wasn't cool to tease. Then she pivoted. "Aren't you working today?" Ju-hyuk lied through his teeth, day off hiding the fact he rage quit ages ago. Mom clocked the lie on his face immediately, but played along. "I trust you," she said, dropping a heavy warning. "Just never get involved with loan sharks." That triggered a flashback. He'd suppressed the Smile Cash murder scene. He promised her never. Then he asked why she lost the job. She admitted it was because of a total nightmare client she dealt with while servicing a water purifier. The lady demanded Mom take out her trash and food waste like a maid. Mom didn't care about the one-star review. She clapped back and got fired for it. His mom was reckless, but she had guts of steel. She had zero tolerance for injustice. That was exactly why Dad fell so hard for her back in the day. Dad bragged that asking her out was his life's peak achievement. Total beta male move, honestly. Ju-hyuk was beta male junior, and Min-hyuk was beta male the third. It was proof of how weak Yet stubborn their family DNA was. If they knew he entered the tower, they'd lose their minds. So he decided to keep the awakening secret until things stabilized. Later, walking out with his little brother, he slipped him a stack of cash. Naturally, Min-hyuk asked, "What's this for?" Joo-hyuk told him it was allowance for mom and dad. He told him to hand it over and make sure they didn't work themselves into an early grave. He turned to leave, but Min-hyuk called out, "Wait up." The kid hesitated. Joo-hyuk smirked, thinking his bro was getting emotional about the tuition he paid last time. He's too embarrassed to say thanks. Joo-hyuk put a hand on his shoulder, playing the cool big brother. "I know, man. I get it." Min-hyuk let out a breath. "Okay, I'll just say it. That cash is for mom and dad, which feels kinda unfair," he said. Then, he pointed out Joo-hyuk forgot his cut. Joo-hyuk's inner peace shattered. This little leech, he wired 500,000 won to him, grumbling, "Don't blow it all on junk." Cut to Hanamdong Seoul Awakener Management Administration. Joo-hyuk stood at the entrance. He meant to go home, but his feet dragged him here on autopilot. After seeing his family, the fire in his belly to succeed was roaring. Gwang-il had told him to call before visiting, but Joo-hyuk figured, "Whatever, I'm already here." If Gwang-il didn't know, he couldn't make it weird. By rolling out the red carpet again, Joo-hyuk had an energy shield, but with monsters leveling up on higher floors, he needed physical protection. The clerk dropped the bomb. "That'll be 100 million won." Joo-hyuk froze. He stammered, looks heavy and pricey." If that was the only option, he was out of luck. Internally, he was screaming at the price tag. To make it worse, the clerk was a girl, so his social skills completely short-circuited. The shop was popping today a total 180 from the ghost town it was last time. The clerk slides a sleek round buckler onto the counter, forged from an adamant and sectonium alloy. Since it's compact, the thing weighs basically nothing, even with the discount tag. It boasts a self-repair spec. She tells him to equip it. He slips it on and damn it vibes perfectly with his mace, like they were crafted as a combo set. He's sold on the aesthetic and asks for the damage. She hits him with the number 40 million won and offers to process the transaction. Boom, payment cleared. It's officially his. But honestly, chatting up this clerk felt way more draining than slaying goblins in the dungeon. He's ready to bounce and head to the crib when a random voice stops him. Clocking that Joo-hyuk is a freshly awakened rookie, the stranger introduces himself as Choi Ho-seok, a fellow player. Joo-hyuk thinks the dude is coming on a little strong, but keeps it polite and introduces himself back. Ho-seok claims he grinds this shop daily, and since Joo-hyuk is a fresh face, he wanted to network. He asks what floor Joo-hyuk is clearing. Ho-seok flexes that he's currently scaling the floors, in the 30s. Joo-hyuk admits he's still grinding the teens. Ho-seok immediately notes the low level. His face lights up. He tells Joo-hyuk that if he ever hits a wall, clearing floors just holler, he's got the strats. Joo-hyuk buys it, thinks Ho-seok is genuinely chill and kind. Seems like the type who radiates natural extrovert energy. He replies, he's cruising so far, no issues. Ho-seok insists hit him up anytime he's practically part of the furniture here. Then, Ho-seok dips. Joo-hyuk is actually impressed by that fearless social game. Makes him think a guy like that definitely has a girlfriend. He feels a pang of jealousy. Back home that night, Joo-hyuk checks his status window and sees he hit level 19. He is ready to raid the 19th floor. But before diving in, he needs a strategy session with John. He summons the Shadow. John spawns in, thanking him for the 5-star review. Joo-hyuk proudly flexes his new shield. When John sees the defensive gear, he literally bursts into tears. He asks if Joo-hyuk is really that desperate to survive. Joo-hyuk just mumbles he's playing it safe. John sniffs that his previous master said the exact same thing. Joo-hyuk counters that he's a total beta male, so the second it gets hairy, he's folding. John makes him swear no Leroy Jenkins moments. If the situation turns critical, he has to sacrifice the summons and run. Joo-hyuk swears it. John adds a clause if it comes to that. Toss go bong to the wolves, not him. John is ready to roll, but then he sniffs the air. Joo-hyuk reveals the tribute. King-sized dumplings. John is hyped that Joo-hyuk prioritized him over that lumbering oaf go bong. He's about to feast when his senses spike. While Joo-hyuk is happily stuffing his face, John asks if he's got ops. Joo-hyuk denies it through a mouthful of food, but John warns him someone outside is leaking straight murderous intent. Joo-hyuk's face drains of color. Knock knock. A voice calls out to check if anyone is home. He orders John to go stealth mode and pops his energy shield. Bam! The door explodes open. Joo-hyuk braces for impact. The guy blew the lock with a handgun. He peeks in with a chillingly casual hello. Joo-hyuk's eyes bug out. It's the friendly guy from the shop. Ho-seok complains that tailing him was a total drag. Joo-hyuk asks why, but Ho-seok snaps shut your mouth and holster the weapon. He screams, threatening to end him right there. Hand over the inventory bracelet, or he turns Joo-hyuk's skull into a honeycomb. Cold steel presses against his forehead. Joo-hyuk's heart drops. Fighting back now is straight suicide. Slowly, John materializes behind Ho-seok. This dirtbag picked the wrong victim. Hosok barks that he isn't playing games. Internally, he's gloating. Ju-hyuk is frozen stiff, paralyzed by the gun in his face. He thinks he snagged the perfect prey. Experience says losers like this fold and empty their inventory after one solid smack. He yells at Ju-hyuk to hustle before he beats him to death, but John moves first. Crack. He smashes the pommel of his dagger into Hoseok's skull. Hoseok's eyes lose focus. He didn't account for a second player. He tries to stay upright, but his legs turn to jelly, and he face plants hard. Ju-hyuk stands there processing. Then he praises John for the clutch save. Massive relief washes over him. John knocked him out cold instead of icing him. He was terrified John would go full slasher movie. Without reading the room, Ju-hyuk pieces it together. This guy is an item broker. Serial killers who hunt players outside the tower just to loot their gear. Basically murdering civilians. He'd heard the horror stories. Gwang-il mentioned that elite squads get bodyguards for exactly this reason. Outside the dungeon, players are soft targets. If Ju-hyuk couldn't summon in the real world, he'd be a corpse right now. Once again, he realizes his skill is absolutely broken. John starts tying Hoseok up like a birthday present. John was ready to take out the trash, literally. He offered to drag the body outside and make it disappear, but Ju-hyuk slammed the brakes on that idea, insisting they dial 911 instead. John rolled his eyes, arguing that a quiet disposal in the middle of nowhere was cleaner. Ju-hyuk shot back, claiming that getting the cops involved was actually the path of least resistance. Meanwhile, back at corporate director Park nearly choked when he heard Ju-hyuk had gone shopping solo. Gwang-il admitted the rookie slipped away while he was distracted. When Park demanded to know the haul, he learned Ju-hyuk picked up a single dinky round buckler. Park rubbed his temples, lamenting that if the kid would just sign the dotted line, they could kit him out in god-tier equipment from head to toe. He pressed for details on Ju-hyuk's stats. Gwang-il theorized that since the kid grabbed a mace and a shield, he was definitely building a melee class. They hallucinated an image of Ju-hyuk as a gallant knight, tanking hits with heavy armor. Park wasn't buying it. If Ju-hyuk was a close combat fighter, even a full legendary set wouldn't stop him from getting squashed like a bug without proper skills. Gwang-il promised to cook up a reason to force-feed Ju-hyuk a full suit of armor. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. His blood ran cold when he saw police flashing on the caller ID. He muttered a frantic apology to the director and snatched the phone. One sentence in, and he froze solid. Adrenaline kicked in. He bolted out the door, drifting his car through traffic. He stormed up the stairs, taking them two at a time, cursing himself for not locking down that elite contract. On day one, his chest tightened. If his golden goose was hurt, it was game over. Meanwhile, in Ju-hyuk's apartment, the officers were cuffing Hoseok for home invasion and robbery. The intruder was screaming bloody murder, trying to flip the script, and gaslight everyone into believing he was the kidnap victim. Ju-hyuk felt panic rising in his throat, shouting back that Hoseok was the psycho who broke in. But the cops weren't taking sides, yet they wanted to haul the homeowner downtown, for questioning too. Ju-hyuk's stomach dropped. For a split second, he visualized his life ending in a prison cell. That's when Gwang-il kicked the door open. Ju-hyuk looked like a ghost, already imagining his mugshot. Hoseok lit up when he saw Gwang-il, thinking his savior had arrived. He immediately started spewing lies, claiming Ju-hyuk tried to jump him and loot his gear. What he got in return was a thunderous slap across the face from Gwang-il. The room went silent. Hoseok was stunned. Gwang-il was vibrating with rage. This lowlife dared to lie to his face and try to PK a fellow player. Hoseok kept playing the victim card, but Gwang-il cut him off coldly, announcing that his player license was officially revoked. Then he backhanded him again. Hoseok's brain short-circuited. Nobody bought his story. Gwang-il ordered the officers to drag the trash away, adding that the NIS would be taking over shortly. The NIS handled player crimes, and their interrogation methods were creative. Hoseok finally cracked. He confessed greed made him do it, and started begging for his life. Gwang-il wasn't moved. He knew a scumbag when he saw one. This guy was definitely a repeat offender, and his entire criminal history was about to get exposed. Gwang-il suggested he lawyer up, though good luck finding an attorney for a dead man walking. Gwang-il then turned to the cops to clarify the arrest protocol. He warned them that if the suspect tried to log out escaping into the tower, they should just camp the spot. He'd eventually respawn right there. Hoseok was dragged out sobbing and snot-nosed. Gwang-il spun around to face Ju-hyuk, his expression shifting from demonic to concerned. He asked if Ju-hyuk was hurt. Ju-hyuk admitted he was just a little rattled. Gwang-il said his name, then bowed a full 90 degrees. He apologized profusely, swearing on his life to implement security measures so tight this nightmare would never repeat. He realized he couldn't stall the elite contract anymore. It wasn't about profits, it was about keeping Ju-hyuk alive. The next morning, John asked for a status update. Ju-hyuk told him the police actually did their job and arrested the guy. John asked if the intruder got the death penalty. When Ju-hyuk said no, John casually hid a dagger behind his back and asked for the address of the detention center. Ju Hyuk sighed, telling him he had no clue and to stop planning a prison break-in assassination. Time to grind. Ju Hyuk summoned Gobong. The goblin was vibing, absolutely thrilled about his 5-star rating. He was practically glowing, claiming he'd never seen that many stars. Turns out the little guy could do basic math. They warped into the 19th floor of the Korea Black Tower. Objective: wipe out 30 goblin shamans. The map was swarming with shamans, but honestly they were mid-tier at best. Their offensive magic was a joke. All they did was spam curses, binding spells, and summon trash mobs. Annoying debuffs, sure, but zero kill pressure. Ju Hyuk didn't even sweat it. Gobang went full berserker mode, charging the line. The shamans unleashed a volley of black magic curses. Gobang didn't dodge. He took a massive breath and let out a roar that shook the walls. Ju Hyuk's jaw dropped. The sheer acoustic pressure shattered the curses in midair. Talk about brute forcing the mechanics. John ghosted in from the rear, dropping a sharp reminder to Gobang they needed to speedrun this floor immediately. Gobang grunted an affirmation, fully locked in on the wipe order. They blitzed the enemy line, John slicing through mobs in perfect sync, while Gobang pulverized the stragglers with his bare knuckles. Ju Hyuk felt that adrenaline spike, desperate to join the fray, but before he could even twitch, the system pinged. Notification: the 19th floor is clear. He spotted John and Gobang exchanging hushed whispers, then John pivoted with a smirk, calling the massacre refreshing. And that's when it clicked for Ju Hyuk. They speed-cleared the map on purpose, specifically to bench him, before he could throw a single punch. They totally played him. The system flashed a massive S++ rank on the screen, a flawless clear of the Korea Black Tower's 19th floor. The loot: a shiny platinum badge dropped into his inventory. The next day he stepped onto the 20th floor. This was the big one, the talent discernment stage. A notorious filter level known for crushing dreams. John immediately flagged it as a death zone. Every goblin variant existed here. Snipers with toxic darts, tactical warrior units, assassins spawning from the void, hex-casting shamans, and tanky hobgoblins. John didn't sugarcoat it. This floor is nightmare fuel. He casually suggested that if it were him, he'd camp out somewhere safe. He nudged Gobang, cueing the big guy's line. Gobang puffed out his chest, telling Ju Hyuk to sit back and relax. He claimed he'd solo the entire map. The quest log for floor 20, updated. Defeat 100 goblins and 1 hobgoblin boss within 10 hours. Failure condition: instant death, or a forced forfeit. Ju Hyuk realized they were setting up the same play, blocking his path. To keep him on the sidelines, John ordered Gobang to pull all the aggro while he flanked. As soon as the mob's focus shifted, Gobang barreled forward like a freight train. The goblin horde unleashed every skill in their arsenal simultaneously. But Ju Hyuk was done being the sidekick. He refused to accept this carry. John looked genuinely shook. Ju Hyuk sprinted right behind the tank. He literally vaulted off Gobang's back, launching himself into the air. He dove straight into the chaos, relishing the rush. John screamed, "No," in pure panic. Cue the traumatic flashback. Ju Hyuk had always been the quiet kid, the NPC in his own life. Back in the day, a kid snatched his toy car. He froze, unable to speak up. Elementary school was worse. Poverty made him an easy target. Middle school, still invisible. While classmates joked around, he was the guy staring at the wall. High school meant solo lunches and zero social stats. He lived as a total outcast, paralyzed by the fear of changing anything. He never pictured himself battling tower monsters. He was the type of guy who couldn't strictly maintain eye contact with a bully. But monsters, they weren't people. No social anxiety, no judgment, no awkward small talk. They were just polygons and hitboxes like in a video game. So he locked in on one goal: clear the map, get the loot. John was screaming for him to halt, just as spear-wielding goblins rushed him. But Ju Hyuk didn't break. He sidestepped the charge, flanked a goblin, and slammed his shield into its face. He parkoured from one enemy to the next, dumping his entire stamina bar into attacks. John was stunned. He couldn't process how Ju Hyuk was mastering Shadow Walk this fast. Suddenly, multiple concentrated energy beams hammered Ju Hyuk's back. John yelled a warning. Ju Hyuk instinctively raised his guard. If that energy shield hadn't procced, he would have been a human pincushion. The reality of the danger finally hit him. He instantly regretted playing the hero. John barked at him to kite towards the cliff. Gobang moved instantly, mode switching to full protection. A swarm of goblins chased Ju Hyuk. His stamina meter was flashing red. He hit a dead end. Was this the extraction point? Panic set in. Empty space. He had no exit strategy. The mob was closing the gap. He braced for the game over screen. Then Gobang stepped into the frame, raising his massive arm like a barricade. He loomed over the trembling goblins and absolutely flattened them. John surged forward, decapitating mobs on the run. He shouted, "A good job," to Gobang. The shaman goblins prepped their hexes, but John was quicker on the draw. He sliced the casters down right at the cliff's edge. He scanned the area clear. That was definitely over 100 kills. He waited for the boss spawn. Ju Hyuk was floored. by the sheer speed of their clear, but Ju-hyuk looked super awkward, sweating, shaking, forcing a cringe smile as he politely asked Go-bong to scooch up. Being trapped with Go-bong's glutes, inches from his face, was too much. Suddenly, a thunderous crash echoed. A towering figure emerged, short legs, weeping face. It was the final boss of the goblin evolution tree, the hobgoblin. John dove off the cliff to engage. John barked the order, and Go-bang didn't hesitate. The beast barreled toward the hobgoblin, intercepting the charge with brutal efficiency. He caught the monster's dual blades, parrying the strike. With raw power before clamping a massive hand around the creature's throat, John watched, satisfied. Looks like the big guy was finally pulling his weight. John signaled him to maintain the grip. As he touched down from his leap, John drove his blade straight through the hobgoblin's eye sockets. Clean kill. Mission complete. 100 goblins flatlined, and 1 hobgoblin boss deleted from existence. The 20th floor was officially cleared. Our boy leveled up, snagging the loot drop. 2 kilograms of magic stones and 5 tower-exclusive healing potions. John smirked, tossing some sarcastic praise at Ju-hyuk for his hard work. Ju-hyuk stood frozen, mind blown by how effortlessly the boss mob had been dismantled. It was a wake-up call. Letting the pros handle the dirty work was definitely the meta. He bowed 90 degrees, thanking his bodyguards for the carry and acknowledging their insane combat skills. The duo returned the gesture. Suddenly, a system notification popped up. Ju-hyuk had secured an S++ clear rating for the 20th floor of the Korea Black Tower. The reward, a shiny platinum badge. That meant Ju-hyuk was now greenlit to challenge the 21st floor. Meanwhile, the internet was losing its collective mind over the S++ news. From the Korea Black Tower, the forums were on fire. One user commented they thought the run was dead, since the updates had been radio silent for 2 weeks. Another speculated on just how deep this team could go. Someone clapped back that the 30th floor was the absolute ceiling. The chat was convinced this was the work of some top-tier elite guild. One theory claimed they were ghosting the public to avoid getting poached by foreign headhunters. Ju-hyuk had just shattered records by blitzing through 20 consecutive floors. It was legendary status, but he knew this glory was about to become a massive headache if the spotlight got too bright. Min-ah proposed a plan to manipulate the media narrative. Director Park shut that down instantly, warning that confirming the identity of the S++ record holder was a massive security leak. He pivoted, asking for the intel on Ju-hyuk's family background. Gwang-il reported that the background check was done handled with ghost-like discretion. He briefed the director on Ju-hyuk's dad, Bong-soo-cheol. The father had wiped out on an icy road a few months back, required hip surgery, and was currently stuck in rehab. Director Park asked for the support strategy. Gwang-il responded that they were pulling strings to get him into the nation's #1 rehabilitation center. Director Park gave the thumbs up. Gwang-il moved on to the younger brother, Bong Min-hyuk, freshman in college facing upcoming military deployment. Director Park ordered full VIP treatment, streamline his enlistment, and secure a full scholarship. Finally, they got to the mother, Hong Geum-ja, formerly a water purifier coordinator, currently between jobs. Apparently, she was wrongfully terminated after going to war with an abusive customer. Dropping his voice to a whisper, Gwang-il noted that Geum-ja was the real variable here. She ran that household with an iron fist and a fiery temper. Rumor had it neither the husband nor the sons dared to breathe wrong around her. Hearing this, Director Park was convinced this was the leverage they needed. He authorized the operation, commanding them to flex the full power of the Awakener. Management administration to lock this down. Gwang-il confirmed the care package for Ju-hyuk's family was effective immediately. Back at the hideout, John's nose twitched the second the aroma of takeout hit the air. Go-bang started vibrating with excitement. Ju-hyuk hissed at them to freeze. He scrambled to hide the 2 monsters, desperate to avoid a scene. He tossed a blanket over Go-bang just as the door opened. The delivery guy handed over a feast, 12 orders of sweet and sour pork, and 12 bowls of black bean noodles. He cracked a joke asking if Ju-hyuk was hosting a banquet. Ju-hyuk mumbled a vague confirmation. The delivery guy chuckled, mentioning he threw in a side of fried dumplings on the house. He told Ju-hyuk to dig in and call them again. Internally, Ju-hyuk was judging the guy hard, stingy, much. 1 order of dumplings for a ticket this big. He checked the bags, 0 coupons. Still, he got it. In this economy, expecting coupons was a pipe dream. He signaled the coast was clear. John inhaled the rich scent of the noodles. Go-bang was practically drooling a river. Ju-hyuk knew this was a flavor explosion they'd never experienced. Go-bang shoved a dumpling in his mouth, marveling at the crunch. John's jaw hit the floor as he watched Go-bang chomp down on the ceramic plate too. Ju-hyuk told them to start feasting while he checked his status. He popped open his inventory. Collecting 20 platinum badges had unlocked a special perk. Curious, he wondered what kind of cheat code he'd unlocked. The system pinged. You have received 1 random box. His eyes went wide. The suspense was killing him. A random box meant 3 gacha-style items from the tower's loot pool. The potential drops included magic stones, over 10 varieties of rare herbs, 3 types of exotic metals, or more than 50 kinds of monster leather, potions, elixirs, wicked weapons, armor sets, bling combat manuals, and those sweet level-up runes. Tickets to jump 5 whole tower levels, skipping 5 floors instantly, plus skill cooldown reset tickets. Trait enhancement runes, rank-up runes for the squad, multinational access passes, and the Holy Grail guaranteed summon tickets ranging from SSR to the God-tier LSSR. Jaehyuk groaned, eyes glazing over. This list was a total DR nightmare. He couldn't even identify half this junk. Since it was all RNG anyway, he sped-read the menu. Magic stones, herbs, scrap metal, trash tier. Weapons and armor looked mid at best. A level-up rune was tempting for the stat boost, but it would lock him on the current floor. Sure, a tower jumping ticket meant speed-running levels, but skipping floors meant forfeiting all that delicious loot. Suddenly, the level-up rune looked like the MVP. The multinational ticket piqued his interest. Global server access sounded dope. But let's be real, the guaranteed rank summon ticket was the real jackpot. We're talking potential LSSR territory here. If he pulled a mythical unit, he could literally go away from keyboard, while his summon did all the dirty work. He pictured himself lounging in a royal carriage, barely lifting a finger while skyrocketing up the rankings. Hopes were high. 3 items, 3 chances to win big. He cracked the box open, praying to the RNG gods. Give me the goods and I'll be a saint, I swear. The box spun, anticipation peaking. Then reality hit. 10 kilos of magic stones cluttered his inventory. His face fell. Total scam, considering he could farm these rocks whenever. Look on the bright side, selling them was an easy 5 million won in his pocket. Time for round 2. Flash. A primordial thunderclap staff popped into his status window. The name screamed cheesy martial arts flick, making him wonder if it doubled as an attack skill. He shelved the details for later and ripped open the final box. Bing summoned entity rank up rune. Finally, a legit win. He was grinning ear to ear. This bad boy could boost a minion's star rating. It was top of his wish list. The dilemma, choosing the lucky winner. John was rocking SR rank while Gobong was stuck at R. In his mind, they were both absolute clowns, but he quickly rebranded them as trusty companions to ease his conscience. Talk about a headache. He leaned towards John mostly out of bromance forged over shared dinners. Although let's be real, Gobong had inhaled the majority of those calories. The rank-up rune wasn't just a stat boost. It evolved the entity based on their hidden potential. Catch as the unit gets unsummoned during the upgrade. Since the squad wasn't exactly lacking firepower right now, he decided to bench John later for the upgrade. First, he had to test drive this new toy, the skill Primordial Thunderclap Staff. It infused his weapon with lightning and unlocked 3 martial forms. Even better, it was a growth-type skill, which was clutch since he desperately needed a heavy-hitting attack move. He hit Learn immediately. First form Soul-Chasing Thunderbolt unlocked. He felt the combat data stream directly into his cerebral cortex. Hyped up, he swung his mace at empty air trying to trigger the Thunderbolt. Whoosh. Nothing. Just awkward silence. He knew it was a long shot. If superpowers worked on Earth, society would have imploded ages ago, thanks to psychos like Hosiok running around. Tower testing it is. John piped up asking why his master was flailing a mace around like a maniac. Jaehyuk grinned, explaining he just snagged a new perk. John froze. An attack skill, Jaehyuk nodded, beaming. Yep, and it's a growth type. John yelped, dropping his bowl in horror. Gobong didn't miss a beat, snatched the food off the floor and swallowed it whole. That set John off. Spit it out, you glutton, John screamed, mourning the last bowl. Ignoring the slapstick routine, Jaehyuk unsummoned the duo. The next day, Jaehyuk sat there brooding. He knew exactly why John was freaking out. His summoner class meant his minions were his muscle. Technically, the player was just the battery pack. A summoner stays in the backline safe and sound, especially an anomaly like him who could bring summons to the real world. But he remembered the guy before him, the parallel universe summoner who contracted John first. That guy was a beast way stronger than Jaehyuk, and he still got wiped out, along with his entire dimension. He got why John was paranoid. But Jaehyuk wasn't just a battery. He was a man. He'd tasted that alpha power, and he was itching to throw hands with his new lightning skill. Absolute obedience was in effect, so he figured he could talk them down. He summoned the boys. They materialized. John looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Jaehyuk blinked. How does a ghost look that stressed in 24 hours? John confessed he was terrified. This new skill was a death sentence. He came clean, admitting he was already sweating bullets back on the 20th floor. That place only felt like a safe zone, because they were just squashing goblins. This confirmed Jaehyuk's hunch. John was genuinely terrified about the attack skill backfiring. John laid it out, cold fighting orcs was absolutely off the table. Jaehyuk apologized in advance, warning that he was about to break the rules. He cracked a joke asking if John planned to truss him up with some fancy butterfly knot. John shot back, "No, but..." Then he dropped the hammer. The third law of summons was now active. The rules for summoned entities were dead simple. First, a summon must protect the summoner's life at all costs. Second, a summon must obey every command, without question. But here's the kicker. If those two laws clash, the first law always overrides the second. Gobang instantly bear-hugged Juhyuk. Whack John smacked Gobang upside the head, reminding him the order was to grab Juhyuk. Only after they stepped into the tower. The game plan was basic. Once they warped inside, Gobang would put Juhyuk on lockdown, while John soloed the entire floor. Juhyuk finally clicked. They were plotting to bench him. He really didn't want to play dirty. But he unleashed his ultimate weapon, the puppy dog eyes. He begged John to let it slide just this once, and swore he'd stay frosty. John wasn't buying it, saying he couldn't trust him. Juhyuk crossed his heart, promising not to go rogue again. John asked if he was 100% sure. Juhyuk argued there was no point in just being a spectator. He pleaded for just one kill, literally one. He promised to take it slow and play it safe. John grumbled, but Juhyuk stood his ground. Since he wouldn't take no for an answer, John finally caved, but with a strict condition. The second he sensed even a whiff of danger, he was stepping in. Juhyuk agreed in a heartbeat. Deal sealed, they stepped onto the 21st floor of the Korea Black Tower. As they trekked through the woods, John explained that orcs were tanky but total bird brains. Still, he roasted probably smarter than Gobang. Gobang immediately protested, claiming he had way more brains than an orc. John told him to zip it. Juhyuk suddenly halted, and suggested they run a practice drill 10 times before pushing forward. John was all for it, telling him to crank that up even higher. John made Gobang sit, and told Juhyuk that the big guy would be his punching bag. Juhyuk had the green light to wail on him. Juhyuk felt super weird about hitting his friend. John insisted, ordering Juhyuk to strike Gobang 10 times. He claimed that even at max power, Juhyuk wouldn't even scratch Gobang, making him the perfect training dummy. Gobang chimed in, saying he was chill with it and it wouldn't hurt a bit. Juhyuk refused, threatening that if they kept pressuring him, he'd just charge into battle alone. Besides, the attack patterns were already burned into his brain. He figured practicing on a live orc was easier than beating up Gobang. He urged them to get moving. John could only weep in defeat. Floor 21 mission: wipe out 30 forest orcs in 4 hours. The horde rushed them immediately. John launched himself into the fray. Gobang shouted, "Me too," and closed the gap in a single massive leap. The second he landed, he started pummeling an orc. Simultaneously, John was decapitating and slicing through every enemy in his lane. Juhyuk stood there, stunned by their insane speed. He panicked. At this pace, the raid would be over, before he could even look at a monster. Suddenly, one orc froze, confused as John sprinted right past it. Juhyuk realized John had intentionally left that one alive for him. He dashed toward the target. John yelled that he'd be covering him from the rear. The orc spotted Juhyuk and swung its massive blade, but Juhyuk ducked the swipe smoothly. Then he jumped, soul-chasing thunderbolt. First form a clean vertical strike. Golden electricity crackled around his mace. As he triggered the primordial thunderclap staff, he slammed it down on the orc's skull and the weapon smashed straight through. The monster was way squishier than he expected. Juhyuk felt a rush of adrenaline at his first solo kill. The beast crumbled. Juhyuk stood over the corpse, shocked at how easy that was. Hyped up, he turned to rush the next mob. But boom, Gobang stomped the target flat before he could get there. John and Gobang death-glared him. Juhyuk played innocent, acting like he knew the deal was one and done. Just like that, he cleared the 21st floor mission and leveled up. He bagged 2.1 kilograms of magic stones and 5 tower-exclusive healing potions as loot. On top of that, he crushed the record, scoring an S++ clear rank on the 21st floor of the Korea Black Tower, and snagged another platinum badge. The next day, he hit the tower again, and was allowed to smack exactly one desert orc. Boom, another S++ clear rank on the 22nd floor. The day after that, same routine. Juhyuk hammered one cave orc, and like clockwork grabbed an S++ clear rank on the 23rd floor. The volcano orc was a bit sketchier, but he still landed the finishing blow. He was conquering the tower at a pace of 1 floor a day, and with John and Gobang carrying him, it was a total breeze. He secured yet another S++ clear rank. Another grueling day wraps on the 24th floor of the Korea Black Tower. The grind is finally over. It's showtime for the 25th floor. Picking off mobs one by one is barely a warm-up, but right now he's got to build that street cred. John and Gobang are usually attached at the hip, making privacy impossible. He seizes this split second to slip John the goods. Whoosh, he summons him. John is totally shook since Juhyuk promised a rest day. Juhyuk just casually yeets the stone his way, claiming he just stumbled upon it. John tilts his head, asking if it's a snack. Juhyuk smirks, telling him to actually look at it. Realization hits John like a truck. He freezes. It's a summoned entity rank up. Rune the golden ticket to leveling up. He's staring at it in total disbelief. Ju-hyuk asks if it's cool. John's voice trembles. Is Ju-hyuk seriously gifting this to him? A rank up means hitting SSR status. The thought makes him choke up. Now he can protect his master like a true tank. Pure, unfiltered joy radiates from his face, and that grin is contagious. Ju-hyuk asks if he wants to trigger the evolution right now. John is dying to, but knows. Rushing could be fatal. Ju-hyuk realizes this isn't just a quick upgrade, it's a ritual. John decides to retreat and handle the ritual with respect. He vows to return, flexing his new form. Not used to the sudden solitude, Ju-hyuk tells him to pump the brakes. He's welcome to crash and hang out. John's down. He grabs the remote hunting for a rerun, but Ju-hyuk suggests streaming it on VOD instead. John doesn't get why his master is pinching pennies. As he surfs the channels, something on the screen snags Ju-hyuk's attention. Stop, Ju-hyuk snaps. John's confused, but Ju-hyuk commands him to flip back to that last station immediately. He barks at him to rewind until the frame freezes right on his mother's face. Ju-hyuk's blood runs cold. Why is his mom headline news? She's standing outside a skyscraper clutching a massive picket sign. The text screams, "Justice for wrongful termination, respect for water purifier managers, end corporate greed." She couldn't swallow the injustice. During a routine filter change, some entitled customer demanded she sort and toss their recycling. Totally not her job description, yet the company demanded she crawl back and apologize to the customer. She refused to apologize for existing. When she wouldn't bow down, they slapped her with a termination notice. For over 10 days, she's been a one-woman army. Her reward, nothing but sneers from the suits in the ivory tower. To them, she's a joke, just miming what she sees on drama shows. But if they laugh one more time, she's ready to throw hands. She's fuming when a guy walks up. She braces herself for more verbal garbage. Instead, he flashes a warm smile, acknowledging her struggle. He introduces himself as Chang Sok, an attorney from Park and Kim. That name drops like a bomb, instantly grabbing her attention. Her guard goes up. Is this a hitman in a suit sent by the corporation to bully her into silence? Go ahead, sue me, she snaps, refusing to fold. The lawyer raises his hands, telling her to take a breath. He's not here to fight her. He's here to fight for her. He proposes launching a formal lawsuit against the Jin Spring Water Corporation. He slides her his business card. Park and Kim isn't just a firm. It's one of the titans of the Republic of Korea. And the kicker, they want to represent her pro bono zero cost. He mentions he already tracked her petition at the labor office. He heard her story through the grapevine and had to intervene. He assures her this is no scam. Seeing the skepticism in her eyes, he explains, it's part of the firm's annual Justice for the Little Guy initiative. It sounds too good to be true, but her gut says he's legit. Still, she hesitates. The lawyer smiles, telling her to accept it as a little cosmic karma for all the hell she's been through. He pledges the firm's entire reputation on this win. She realizes she's got nothing left to lose. It's all or nothing. She gives the green light. The lawyer looks visibly impressed by her steel resolve. Step 1. Media blitz. Within minutes, the paparazzi and reporters are swarming her like bees. He coaches her, forget the clock. Spill the tea, every single detail, and don't hold back. Every slight, every injustice needs to be aired out. It's time to expose the company's dirty laundry to the world. She nods, locking in. Back in the tower, Ju-hyuk spirals. Watching his mom fight a lonely war on that screen absolutely crushes him. What's the point of having two sons? He feels like absolute trash, useless, unfilial garbage. She couldn't even lean on them when she needed it most. But then it hits him. How on earth did she afford a shark like that? Park and Kim don't come cheap. Spare change wouldn't even cover the retainer fee. John's eyes darken. He turns to Ju-hyuk. You want me to pay a little visit to the Jin Spring Water Company? Blades out, edges gleaming. Ju-hyuk clocked it immediately. John wasn't bluffing. The guy knew exactly what time it was. Mad respect for the loyalty, but Ju-hyuk shut it down. He'd seen his mom's interview. She had a shark of a lawyer in her corner already. John actually looked crushed. He wanted to handle this problem personally, wrap it up with a bow, and present it like a twisted gift. Ju-hyuk had a different plan, wire the cash for legal fees. The 21 kilograms of magic stones he'd grinded for were sitting at 10 million won. If that didn't cut it, the energy shield kit was going on the auction block. Ringtone breaks the silence. It's Dad. You see the news, son. Dad sounded relieved. Don't sweat the legal bills. Your mom's lawyer is working pro bono, free of charge. Ju-hyuk froze his finger, hovering over the transfer button. He was seconds away from sending his life savings. Dad just laughed, joking that there's no way Ju-hyuk scraped up that kind of dough that fast. Just focus on your work, kid. Don't worry about us. Then came the second bombshell. Dad got a call from Ilsung Hospital. Their orthopedics wing was running some cutting-edge hip surgery and rehabilitation program. And guess who got selected? In a few days, he's checking in. And the kicker, full ride. Surgery, rehab, hospital stay, zero cost. Dad was calling it a miracle. But Ju-hyuk's gut started twisting. Dad told him to chill, so Ju-hyuk just promised to visit soon and hung up. Ilsung isn't just a clinic. It's top tier backed by a massive corp. On paper, this is amazing news, but the vibe was off. Way off. Then his brother Min-hyuk calls. With so many miracles hitting the family at once, Joo-hyuk's radar was pinging like crazy. Did you see Mom's interview? Min-hyuk asked. He was fuming, truly pissed off at the scumbags dragging her name. Mom had grinded herself into the dust, doing sales whatever it took. Joo-hyuk knew that score better than anyone. So Min-hyuk stepped up. I'm sending my allowance to Mom for the lawsuit. Don't you need that laptop? Joo-hyuk asked. Min-hyuk brushed it off. I'm good. Got enough for the gear, even after tuition. Why? Because he just snagged a scholarship. He was literally standing. In the financial aid office right then, Min-hyuk was preaching about how karma finally pays off for honest people. Joo-hyuk cut to the chase. Who's paying national scholarship? Min-hyuk chirped. From the Awakener Management Administration. They hand out a bunch every year. Joo-hyuk told him to hit the books. Click. The puzzle pieces slammed together. This wasn't divine intervention. Mom's shark lawyer, Dad's free surgery, Min-hyuk's sudden cash flow. It all pointed back to one shadowy benefactor, the Awakener Management Administration. Cut to Gwang-il cruising in his sedan. Phone buzzes. Let's meet. Gwang-il swings by to pick him up. They hit a high-end spot. Private dining room, just the two of them. Joo-hyuk didn't touch his food. Why'd you do it? Gwang-il played dumb. Do what? The lawsuit. Joo-hyuk pressed. Dad's surgery. My brother's tuition. Gwang-il didn't flinch. It was necessary. He wasn't even pretending to deny it. Domestic trouble kills focus, Gwang-il explained smoothly. If you're stressing about home, you're not climbing the tower effectively. Logical, yes. Creepy, absolutely. They pulled strings behind his back without a word. This was VIP treatment, elite team perks. Joo-hyuk was still on a basic rookie contract. Bam. Gwang-il slapped a folder onto the table. The ultra-elite contract. Sign it, Gwang-il commanded. Right now. Join the elite team. Joo-hyuk felt the walls closing in. This wasn't a dinner. It was a well-executed ambush. He hesitated. He didn't feel like a chosen one. His skills felt adequate, not god tier. Suddenly, Gwang-il stood up. You really think you're average? The executive demanded. After shattering records that have stood forever, Joo-hyuk opened his mouth but nothing came out. He had zero defense. You cleared 24 floors. Straight. With an S++ rating. Gwang-il leaned in. Calling that luck isn't humility, kid. It's denial. Then the executive bowed. Deeply. Joo-hyuk gasped. Whoa, stop. Gwang-il stayed down. Look at the Hosok incident. You need the elite team status. You've earned the protection. Please just sit down. Joo-hyuk was mortified. The whole room was probably staring. Gwang-il sat. Sign this and the Hosok nonsense ends. You get VVIP protection. Untouchable. Joo-hyuk frowned. I don't need bodyguards shadowing my every move. It's weird. But the biggest red flag. The footage. The elite contract demanded recorded sessions of every single climb. Exposing John and Gobang wasn't an option. Gwang-il, however, played it smooth, claiming Joo-hyuk could edit the videos however he saw fit. And the security detail, completely up for negotiation. Now, that piqued his interest. Joo-hyuk pressed for details. Gwang-il painted a picture solo, living in a fortress-level high-rise. Bodyguards would shadow him only when he stepped outside. And if he wanted, they'd extend that ironclad protection to his family. Joo-hyuk tried to steel himself, fighting the urge to cave. Then Gwang-il dropped the nuclear option. The second he signed that paper, the government would hand over 2 luxury properties. One for him, one for his parents. Direct hit. Turning down a golden ticket like that, impossible. He was already mentally moving in. Still, he kept his poker face. He praised Gwang-il's decisiveness, but threw up a caution flag. Was it really smart to make a life-altering choice in seconds? Gwang-il smirked. He could read the greed in Joo-hyuk's eyes. The guy was already sold. He assured him it was a done deal. The director gave him full clearance. He slid the document across the table. Just autograph right here. Joo-hyuk's heart raced, visualizing the mansions. He gripped the pen, then froze. Gwang-il raised an eyebrow. Problem. Joo-hyuk's gut twisted. This was moving at Mach speed. He needed a breather. Gwang-il asked what was holding him back. He gave it to him straight. He needed to consult his team before locking in his destiny. Gwang-il nodded, playing the patient professional. Cut to the next day, John gets summoned, and he enters with a flex declaring a special super rare. Assassin had landed. His body erupted with blinding, iridescent energy. Joo-hyuk flinched, shielding his face, screaming as the holy glow burned his retinas. The evolution was done. John had officially hit SSR status. The aura was so intense, Joo-hyuk begged him to toggle it off. John glanced around, asking why Gobang wasn't invited to the party. Joo-hyuk cut him off. Before they tackled Floor 25, they needed a serious strategy meeting. That's why it was a solo invite. John agreed immediately. There was no way. Joo-hyuk could have a high-level convo with that meathead Gobang anyway. Joo-hyuk filled him in on the suit from the Awakener Management Administration. He laid out the offer, the perks, and the pressure. The crossroads: stay comfortably in the normal team, or go big with the elite squad. He looked at John. What's the play? John didn't hesitate. Elite team. Obvious choice. Ju-hyuk was national authority tier now. He needed to stop acting like a rookie. Ju-hyuk sweated the details. But if I sign, they could force march us to the 60th floor. Or higher. John wasn't phased. Ju-hyuk clenched his fist, promising to grind until he wasn't dead weight. John shut that down instantly. Stop. You don't train to die. Your job is to survive. Living is the mission. His pulse was his power. Ju-hyuk tried to argue, but John doubled down. As long as Ju-hyuk kept breathing, the rest was automatic. John dropped some lore from his home dimension. Back there, countless legendary SSR-grade entities were waiting in the void. As long as Ju-hyuk stayed alive, he'd eventually summon every single one of them. And when that squad assembled, absolute loyalty. They'd follow any command, assuming it didn't break the 3 laws. Ju-hyuk asked if that was the ceiling. John smirked. Nope. There were demigod-class nightmares that defied the ranking system entirely. Beings that broke the power scale. That grabbed our MC's attention instantly. Ju-hyuk asked, "Can I pull those unranked monsters?" John kept it real. Right now, not a chance. So John laid out the meta. Live long, spam random summons. That was his ultimate ability. His true finishing move. The gacha cooldown was roughly 1 month. That's 12 pulls a year. With lucky item drops, maybe more. A dozen powerhouses added to the army annually. Unless RNG screwed him, of course. He checked the timer. 19 days. 10 hours, 17 minutes, and 8 seconds left. John gave him one final instruction. Demand one condition. You and only you decide when we climb the uncleared floors. No suits involved. Ju-hyuk blinked. He didn't even know he had the leverage to demand that kind of control. John emphasized it was do or die. If he didn't lock that clause down, every clout-chasing bureaucrat would be screaming at him, asking why he wasn't rushing into the dungeon. They'd force him into the meat grinder before he was ready. John's voice dropped. This wasn't advice. It was a warning. Ju-hyuk could sense the deep trauma behind those words. John looked him dead in the eye. Never let the world drag you under. If that one rule held, taking government handouts was greenlit. Ju-hyuk actually did a double take. He didn't expect John to co-sign that plan. After dropping a quick thanks, Ju-hyuk summoned his boy Gobang. Gobang gave his master the standard salute. John loomed behind him, salty that he wasn't getting any love. Gobang clapped back. Warriors don't bow to randoms. John immediately started flexing his new rank. He literally spelled it out. S-S-R. Special super rare. He made sure Gobang noticed the double S sitting pretty before the R. Meanwhile, Gobang was stuck at basic R tier. The goblin mumbled about John being toxic, but John told him to zip it. There are levels to this game, and Gobang was just a low-tier scrub. Ju-hyuk watched the goblin nervously dodge John's eyes. With a 2-rank gap, even a thick-skulled goblin could read the room. Ju-hyuk locked a promise in his mind. Next upgrade drop, it's going straight to Gobang. Then he pivoted. Could they grind for another platinum badge? John literally scoffed. Stupid question. He's an SSR unit now, baby. They stepped onto the 25th floor of the Korea Black Tower. Objective: wipe out 100 orcs, plus 1 chieftain. Time limit 10 hours. Ju-hyuk watched a massive green tide of monsters rushing them. He thought about grabbing a few kills, but John called dibs. This was his victory lap for hitting SSR. He told Gobang to initiate and pull aggro. The goblin didn't hesitate. He sprinted and launched himself sky high. The orcs paused, confused by the aerial assault. That's when John made his move. The SSR went to work. He moved so fast he was just a blur of light. Ju-hyuk felt like he was watching a fighter jet, shredding the battlefield. John unleashed a storm of blades, skewering multiple orcs instantly. Skill trigger blade explosion. The wounded orcs literally detonated. The blast wave wiped out everything standing near them. That wasn't a blade skill anymore. That was basically a bazooka shot. A few orcs tried to jump him from behind. Spears ran right through him. The monsters grinned until the realization hit. John's body dissolved into thin air. A split second later, he materialized behind them. Vile ambush activated. Heads rolled, without him even breaking a sweat. The guy was having the time of his life. The surviving orcs were absolutely shaking in their boots. John asked why the long faces before popping poison dagger. He told them the party was just getting started. Ju-hyuk realized John was going to steal all the kills if he didn't hurry. He triggered Shadow Step. He dove into a fresh pack of mobs. They locked onto him immediately. John's advice echoed in his head. Just survive. Stay alive. But Ju-hyuk needed more power. He needed to make sure the people who had his back could finally stop stressing. Ju-hyuk went head-on at an orc. He couldn't let John carry him forever. To keep up, he had to get stronger fast. He weaved under a massive blade swing. Then he planted a kick right on its backside. The beast ate dirt, but bounced back up, looking totally dazed. Ju-hyuk unleashed it Primordial Thunderclap Staff, First Form Soul-Chasing Thunderbolt. He brought the staff down, caving in the orc's skull in a shower of gore. The monster dropped screaming. More enemies swarmed him. He used Shadow Step to dance through the crowd, dropping bodies left and right. Then a system alert popped up. Boom. Primordial Thunderclap Staff second form cascading thunderbolts. Unlocked. Adrenaline spiked. He finally unlocked the second form. The combat data downloaded directly into his brain. He knew the mechanics, but this skill felt like a whole new beast. He spun his weapon and triggered the second form. A pack of orcs closed in. He dashed forward, weapon spinning, and let her rip cascading thunderbolts. Pure lightning nuked the group. The energy arced into 5 separate streams, frying multiple targets instantly. Juhyuk grinned. He just got himself an AoE skill. John clocked the flash of lightning and frowned, wondering when orcs. His jaw practically hit the pavement, eyes bulging out of his skull. He took off, sprinting toward him at breakneck speed. At the absolute last second, he screeched to a halt. Tears streamed down his face as he chewed Juhyuk out for getting way too carried away. Just because he unlocked some flashy new skill, especially after they explicitly agreed to pick off enemies one by one on each floor. Juhyuk muttered an apology. Then he froze. Wait, why was he apologizing to a summoned entity? The sheer absurdity of it ticked him off. He was done walking on eggshells around John. He snapped, claiming that even if he was a beta outside, inside this tower, he was the ultimate alpha. John didn't flinch calmly, replying that keeping Juhyuk breathing was their #1 priority. That just pushed his buttons even more. Juhyuk pointed ahead, daring him to let the orc war chief show its ugly mug. He boasted he'd charge straight in and smash its skull himself, but a deafening crash cut him off mid-flex. Speak of the devil, the orc war chief materialized. The second Juhyuk laid eyes on it, he shrieked for John's help. John snatched him up and bolted. Juhyuk turned ghost white. Immediate regret washed over him for ignoring John's warning. John dumped him safely behind Gobong and barked orders to neutralize the war chief right now. The beast stared them down. John told Juhyuk to sit back and watch the master at work, while Gobong stayed on defense duty. They launched their attack. The war chief let out a lung-shattering roar. Bong's hand started glowing with energy. His fist collided with the war chief's weapon, bending the steel like it was rubber. The war chief froze, totally shook. Gobong didn't let up. He drove both fists straight into the monster's shoulders. Bones crunched and shattered. Perfectly timed, John slipped behind it, triggering vile ambush. Daggers flashed in the dark. The war chief's head hit the floor. Just like that, the 25th floor was cleared. Juhyuk leveled up, scoring a massive 2.5 kilogram magic stone as loot. He secured an insanely rare S++ clear rank for the 25th floor of the Korea Black Tower. A shiny platinum badge was added to his collection. The path to the 26th floor was now open. He exited the tower only to get a notification, a special perk for gathering. 25 platinum badges. Encore perk selection was now live. Juhyuk already knew exactly what this meant. The system rolled out the options: trait enhancement skill, copy random item, and summoned entity rank up. This felt like hitting the lottery. He smashed the screen to select trait enhancement. He knew he'd be a total moron to pick anything else. His status window popped up. It displayed his name, his affiliation with the Korea Black Tower, and his level now sitting at a solid 26. His summon trait now allowed up to 3 entities. Currently, he was rocking John and Gobong. His trait kit included designated summon, random summon, and summon release. His common skills featured entering the tower once per day and a tower inventory. For combat, he had Shadow Step and the Primordial Thunderclap Staff. A wave of pure hype washed over him when he saw his summon limit had bumped up to 3. Counting himself, they could finally run a full 4-man squad. There were about 18 days left. On the random summon cooldown, he couldn't help but wonder who the third member would be. But right now, real life was calling. He asked the boys if they were hungry. John demanded to tteokbokki. Juhyuk blinked, since when could John handle spicy food? John puffed his chest, claiming that now he was SSR rank. His days of being weak to spice were history. Juhyuk rolled his eyes and wished him luck. The tteokbokki hit the table. Juhyuk gave them props for crushing it on the 25th floor, and told them to dig in. Gobong polished off a bowl like it was nothing. John asked if it wasn't burning his tongue. Gobong shrugged, not spicy at all. If anything, it was kinda sweet. John wasn't buying it. He popped one piece in his mouth and his tongue instantly caught fire. He hit the deck, writhing around like he'd been poisoned with cyanide. Gobong looked at Juhyuk, deadpan, suggesting the assassin was a goner, so he should just toss him and summon a replacement. With the 25th floor conquered, Juhyuk started thinking it was finally time to drop the bomb on his family. Later that day, he headed to his parents' place, carrying a stack of premium beef. Minhyuk asked where he snagged the cash for this. Juhyuk leaned in, whispering he'd spill the tea later. His mom nearly fainted at the price tag. She immediately asked for the receipt to return it. His dad stepped in, telling her to chill. They'd been through hell recently, and their son was just trying to do something nice. He told her to just accept the gesture and enjoy. They gathered around the table, vibes high. His dad had to admit that meat tasted like absolute heaven. His mom joked that the men in this house were total carnivores. She even brought out some fruit for dessert. Joo-hyuk felt a massive weight lift off his shoulders. The lawsuit, his dad's medical bills, it was all resolving. He took a deep, steadying breath and announced he had some major news. He told them straight up he had awakened and was now a full-blown player. The room went dead silent. They thought he was pranking them. When he realized nobody bought his story, he knew there was only one move left. He made a call to Gwang-il. The very next day, a luxury sedan whisked them away toward a massive skyscraper. Mom's voice trembled, barely able to process the reality check. Had her boy actually awakened? Gwang-il didn't hesitate to drop the truth bomb. Joo-hyuk wasn't just a player anymore. He was a certified national treasure. Dad and little bro were completely floored, standing there with their jaws on the ground. The second that elite player title dropped, their brains practically short-circuited. They were absolutely shook. Gwang-il ushered the squad upstairs for the grand reveal. Joo-hyuk whipped out a sleek black card, the ultimate status symbol, and tapped it against the reader. The doors glided open, welcoming them to their bougie new crib. Alright fam, that is a wrap on today's banger. But hold up, if you are craving those weekly chapter drops for this series, I am shifting the goods over to my second channel, Manhwa Updater. So do not sleep on this. If you do not want to be left in the dust, make sure to slide over there and join the update gang right now. Big love for watching. Stay cool, stay awesome, and I will catch you guys in the next video.